Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the My Spouse is Probably Going to Murder Me. Wait, no, that's not what this podcast is.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
I'm not your host, Jesse the Omega. Joining me with my co-host, the one and only Curtis. How are you doing tonight, Curtis?
I am inevitable. I am everywhere. I'm omnipresent, and I'm here.
Indeed, you are. Well, hey, we are starting a new. We're getting organized on this show, and no, this is not all just Curtis's input. Everybody, it's just now I have someone to banter with. I feel like there needs to be a little more structure to the show than just me running my mouth for 2 hours with someone else. So we're introducing a new segment. We're going to start it off here at the beginning of the show, and we're calling it. If I can get it up here, um, shelf selections, where Curtis and I take a look through the world of customizing and photography and all the stuff that we love about toys and collecting and pick a couple things to just highlight real quick here in the show. So let's make this full screen. Nope, that was my computer screen. What am I doing here? I don't know how to do this. There we
There
go.
you go.
All right, first up on shelf selections, Curtis, go ahead and take it away with this one.
Yeah. So once again, like Jesse said, he had this great idea that we would, there's a lot of great artwork, not only in the Cabal, but a lot of the different parts of the community that we're in. We see different, whether it's sculptors, painters, photographers, whatever. So we just wanted to select a couple each to highlight. So this one here that I've got, this is I believe this is Ogre Scale sword that was printed by Noble Bear. It was for Christmas. I know they had one that was painted for their little charity thing that they did for Toys for Tots. And I saw this one that was painted by Lenny Kingpin. And I just thought this was really awesome. I like the candy cane striping on the handle, the, kind of the reef coloring on there. And then the, on the blade itself, it has kind of this frost look. And I know the picture is a little bit, I wish we could blow this up a little bit bigger. So we'll see what we can do about the pictures. If, maybe we can zoom in or crop it a little bit or something. But I really liked this. And as soon as I saw this, I was like, yeah, this is pretty awesome. So
Excellent. Yeah, that's a really nice looking paint job and a really cool looking sword.
yeah.
All right. Up next, I should have done these every other. Up next is your other choice for the week.
That's all right. It's all right. This one, I actually was sitting in the customizing studio in the Wolf Den. We had one today, but last week I was in there and Kevin Dufresne popped in. He was working on a few different things. He is a big dwarf guy, but lately he's had the cosmic bug, and he's been doing some what were normally mythic pieces, like from third-party vendors, but he's kind of doing them in colors that would allow them to fit in with cosmics when they come. So this was one of those pieces, and I got to see him working on this live. And it's one of those things where it really helped me to appreciate that you can get similar looks with different techniques. So like for this one here, I would have done a lot of dry brushing, but Kevin really doesn't like to dry brush. So he starts with all the dark layers and works his way up, which I do that occasionally with flesh tones. But to see him do that on this whole figure, and then, it's this character, and then the eye on this sculpt is fairly large. So he wanted to really get a good detail on the eyeball. And if you see this, if you're able to go to either the Cabal, I think he posted in the Cabal and the Wolf Den, the work he did on those eyes is spectacular. So I just love the snout, the colors that are in there. The fur really stuck out to me, and then the eyes. So this was my other selection for the week. And I know both of them were painted pieces. I will have some sculpted pieces as well as some photography in weeks to come. But for this week, it was 2 painted pieces for me.
Excellent. Yeah, it was cool hanging out in that live session last week when he was working on this. So I'm looking forward to see what he does when he gets the cosmic in hand.
Yeah.
And my first pick this week is a photograph from Kevin Boots, Kevin M Boots 77 over on Instagram. I know it wasn't new this week, but I really wanted to share this one because I saw it this week. just absolutely love just the blurriness in the background and kind of the vignette look of it. Just great photography, really nice guy. And Father Christmas is still one of my favorite figures from last year. So
it's nice perspective on that too. Like it's interesting how you can take a tiny action figure in this very large background, but based on the way that you take the photo and like you said, with the blurriness in the background, it makes it all look like it's to scale and works right.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my next pick is an upcoming 3D sculpt from Planetary Dogs. Julie posted this in the Cabal this week, and I just thought that was a really gorgeous sculpt, and hope to get that one whenever they offer it up.
Did she have any details on what were? I mean, I'm guessing this is some sort of foresty type character. Is there any details on this at all?
I didn't see any details, just throwing it up there to see what people were thinking of it. It feels like some sort of royalty. I was it made me think of some of the higher up people from like the Arcane series, the animated series on Netflix. So just fancy hair ornamentation and stuff. But yeah, it could go woodsy, Xylonis flock, crittery or whatever. But yeah, I just thought that one was really cool.
That's cool.
And that's shelf selections.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Jesse. I'm interested to see what people think about this segment. I know we haven't typically done segments in the past, so I think it's a neat one. But I'd like to hear what people's thoughts are. If you like it, if you'd like to see something different, even if you see something that maybe we might have missed that you want to send to us as a suggestion. Like to get any kind of input that you guys have for us. So
absolutely. Speaking of people we need to get some opinions from, let's bring on our guests, Skvarna and the Duch.
There you go.
The one and only two podcasters that bring the best Masters of the Universe podcast to our ear holes. Legends of Grayskull.
Yeah,
so you guys thought I was gonna make fun of you, but I didn't.
No, you're Jesse. We expect that from Curtis, not from Jesse.
I expect every time that Skvarna and the Duch come in that there's like some sort of like 80s like campy theme song like Skvarna and the Duch. I don't know. It's like Full House or like one of those like.
If only we were musically talented. We've talked about it.
There's Skvarna and the Duch is coming along too.
Skvarna and the Duch.
Running across an open field towards a pile of He-Man toys.
Oh yeah, that worked.
I won't put the effort into it, but in my mind, it's the Pinky in the Brain intro.
Yeah,
with you guys.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of ideas up here that just
that's a good one.
Anywhere.
I can see a little Pinky in the Duch right there. It's got a little pinky-ish. So.
He's always got to take his jabs.
I'm just saying.
Always got to take his jabs. You know damn well how to say my last name. Sorry, Jesse. I don't mean to curse, but
no. I meant to say this episode we're releasing the PG rating for the content. So
you mother. Oh no, we're not gonna.
don't. So warning: if there are children present, this might lean hard PG-13.
Hard.
There you go.
So hard.
And there we are.
So let me throw this out at you guys right away. All
right.
Because we know Curtis and I and the show, we've had our beefs. Curtis has given us lots of great quotes. So let's just throw it out here, guys. I'm going to spring this on you.
Okay.
F, marry, kill the other three guys on the screen right now.
Oh, for the love of God.
We got to do it. All right.
Wow.
Thanks for joining us, folks. Have a great night.
Wow.
I'll go first. I'm going to kill Curtis. All right. I think that's just right out there.
I'm not surprised. That doesn't shock me.
No. Yeah. And I know I'm going to get killed a lot here too. So,
Can I just take the Anakin route and say yes?
Yes to what? You're going to kill Curtis with me?
All three?
I was going to say, kill Curtis. I'm effing Shawn all night long because I got to marry Jesse
every night.
Like Jesse's got to be the one that you settle down with.
Yeah,
I mean
he's got such great talent, great hair. I mean,
it's not that great.
You got to marry him, right? So there we go. There's mine. Anybody else want to jump on that?
Well, I mean, this is never a fun game because you're gonna hurt somebody's feelings. But if we're
It's all right.
forced,
I don't have feelings. So.
that's cool. If we're forced to play, I would say F Jesse, because I think he would be a gentle, caring, passionate lover.
Agreed.
I would say I would actually have to say marry the douche. No offense to Shawn, but
damn,
like,
I did not see that going that way.
In my marriage, like something that I really enjoy is that I can be a smartass to my wife, and every now and then she'll give it back to me, and I feel like we've got this good smartass back and forth, me and the douche. So
I agree.
So yeah, I think that a lifetime of that would be pretty entertaining. So no offense, Shawn, love you, but I had to pick somebody to kill. So you're the guy.
All right.
I guess Shawn, you're up because I guess as host I go last.
I'm killing myself.
No,
Then I don't have to
No,
choose.
the other three guys. I specified.
Oh, geez. Well, all right. Let's see. I'm gonna fuck the douche.
As one does.
Just because I'll marry Jesse because I've known him so long. He knows too many of my secrets, and unfortunately, Curtis, I guess we're killing each other.
There you go.
I love it.
Mine's just almost the flip flop of that. It's sorry, douche. Kill the douche. F
Kill the
Curtis,
douche.
marry Shawn.
Hey, I brought it on myself. I brought it up. So
I mean
that one's on me.
I don't
And
ever.
now we
wanna
gotta
play
have
this game
tattoos.
again.
We survived that.
Yeah.
So now that that's out of the way,
Yeah. Whew.
Nobody
Talk about a
killed
hot
Jesse.
seat.
I just want to throw that out there.
No,
Nobody killed Jesse.
Nobody would.
No, who
That's
would?
true. It's true. He's too
He's some
nice.
Crazy monster out there. I thought I was gonna die a lot more. So
well, thanks for letting me wallow in my debt, guys.
Yeah.
anytime.
This
We're all
is
there.
not how I expected the show to start. But all right.
Well,
Man, I lift that rating thing and boom, just right for it.
Boom.
For the record,
Let's do
YouTube,
it.
this is still rated a not for children show. I'm
Yes.
just saying no holds barred on our conversation. I'm not making this available for children.
well speaking
All
of
right.
debt, did you guys? Today's the last day. You guys get any last minute Necronominus orders in?
Mhm.
I put in a small order last night because I was watching Jesse and he disrespected Elijah and Shawn disrespected Elijah.
Yeah.
And so I had to go out there and put in a last minute order to get some extra Elijahs into the world. So yeah.
How many Elijahs?
Total, I think I'm at 11 Elijahs.
Holy God.
Well, one is the all in and then 10 more.
Okay.
So,
You got to go for a baker's dozen, though, Curtis.
Yeah.
if they
still
had a
got time.
12 pack, like they've done some in the past with the Legion builders where they'll do a 6-pack or a 12-pack. If they had a 12-pack, I would have really considered it. So,
Wow.
because usually you get like a free one in there, like you
Yeah.
buy 11, get one free kind of thing. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Well, since we're talking about it, we might as well bring it up.
Boom.
a couple hours left.
Yep. So you've got an hour and what is that? 46 minutes and counting
I should probably finalize my order, huh?
to get your order in. Yeah, a lot of great stuff. This is a really great wave. So many cool figures. All right, we went through this last night on the Ostradamus Toys Live, which if you are new to Legions, I definitely recommend checking his Legions class that we get to participate in, talking through the different things. We spent a lot of time talking about skeletons in this wave last night. But guys, obviously, Curtis, your number one pick sounds like Elijah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where is he?
And the reason for that, for those who may have caught Ostradamus' show last night and wondering, like, I mean, first of all, I think this is a gorgeous figure, but on top of that, like my favorite 3D parts are the God's Fire series, and the more Templars we have in the world, the more God's Fire we can create. So that's, I was all over this. I would have probably been mostly all over this, even if it was similar to the original, but considering that it's like pretty much all new parts on that Templar body, I was definitely all for it.
Now,
Excellent.
are you worried about them not fitting in with the shift to soft goods and everything? I know that's been talked about a little bit.
No, I was on my God's Fire ones. I was buying Max Bird soft goods to use for the little tabard piece as well as like a cloak.
Right.
So this doesn't bother me at all. The only thing that I don't necessarily like about it is that it's so clean. So I think once these kind of parts come in, this one, the Gideon, the Sir Aldrich, when we start getting more of these soft goods, it's going to take some people in the customizing community figuring out, okay, how can we now alter these things, whether it's making them tattered, changing the colors on them. I know Jeremy said something about maybe like if you dip them in tea that you can kind of make it look like it's aged and dirty, that kind of thing. So, it's like anything else. We got the new pieces from Alithia with the removable chest pieces. And then within a couple of weeks, you've got all these 3D parts companies putting out new chest plates for it. So I'm sure people will figure out ways to alter the soft goods and go from there.
True.
All right, we'll just go down the line. Shawn, I think I know where you're going to go, but go ahead.
I put in another order a little while ago, but I did do the 2-pack, the Necronominus Conibus and Maxilius. I did, and then I also did one today with the deluxe Ghoul and Zombie 2-pack. I got 2 of those now, so I can pop and swap to my heart's content.
Very cool. Duch, what was your number 1 pick?
Oh, it'd have to be I'm going to butcher the name still, but the Terpicoli. It's
Tuberculosis.
Tuberculi?
Tuberculi. I love them. I love the skeletons. I'm all over this wave for the skeletons. I know Curtis is going to hate me, but the only reason I got the all-in the Knights was so I could put those skeleton heads on them.
Hey, that's all right.
Then this guy is
got one though.
Yeah, I do. But this guy is just like the cream of the crop. It's nothing I could have imagined but once I saw him, I'm like, yes, I need him desperately. So I literally just did my all-in right now, and I'm still bouncing around the idea of if I want to pick up some extra Tuberculi or the Undead Builder, Legion Builder.
Awesome.
I might wait for Big Bad Toy Store for those guys, though, just because.
Yeah, this one's just amazing, all the parts that come with this. I think I saw Dennis Derby was talking about hoping that something comes down the road with the blue sleeves to match the soft goods there, like
nice.
Like the underneath of the collar.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah, and I've got a custom head that I want to use some of those parts with, so I'm definitely going to need to pick up an extra one of him eventually.
Let me ask you guys a little bit different question with this. If you were introducing somebody to Legions, they've never had one before, and they've got 2 hours or an hour and a half, whatever, to get an order in, and they could only buy one figure as their first Legions figure. So it's not necessarily your favorite figure, but the first one that you feel like is a good introductory piece for somebody. What would that be in this wave?
Oh, in this wave?
Because I know, like, most of us would probably say the original Deluxe Barbarian. If you were to give, like, one figure, would probably be the one to get people started. But
see, mine, I always go the opposite, because what got me into it was all the creatures and monsters, honestly. Mm-hmm. I know Shawn loves his barbarians, you love Templars, all that, but for me, I'm going to take a creature, a goblin, all that. So I would say Maxilius the Harvester. I think if you got one figure out of this wave to get somebody in, he's so versatile, but he just, ornamentation looks great. Take that off. You got a standard Grim Reaper. Take that off, and you've got the legit skeleton, Jason in the Argonaut style. Yep. So I think right there, to me, that's the one. if you're trying to show someone how great this line is. Just the possibilities of that and all the archetypes that one figure fills.
I'm going to 100% agree with you, Douche. I like this one. When I look at it, like when you're talking about the play factor and the different looks in one package, if you don't have other ones to part swap with and you don't have 3D printed parts and you don't paint and you just have one figure that you want to try to, have different ways with different looks, to me, this is the guy.
Yeah, I agree. Like, the other way I was going to answer that is, okay, if you're going for like good or evil, if the person, like some people will go more towards the good guys to get into, like I'm one of those people. If I'm going to start collecting something, I need to start with, like, if it's Masters, I need a He-Man before I get any other figures. That's just my weird OCD thing. So like if I had somebody who was like, well, good versus evil, what's what or whatever, and what ones would you recommend? I think in this wave, I'd probably go for Gideon, because he is so to the nines of what the new 2.0s are showing they can do. And it's like he's such a unique looking character. Plus you can also start touting, in the story and in the mythos, the mythicness and the mythos. What am I trying to say? In the story that they're trying to tell of Mythos, he is a key character. So you're getting one of the lead guys right off the bat. With, like I said, with me liking He-Man. Who's getting murdered over there, Duch? Is that you?
No, it's the Mario Kart Rainbow Road Hot Wheels.
Oh, well then I'll give you that. But anyway, that there's a lot of content with that figure from a story perspective, and from like a He-Man almost. Here's this pivotal character, but then if you go evil or you go for like a undead figure, Maxilius all day long, because you got options on him, and that could have almost been a figure obscura with the Grim Reaper. In that way, it's almost got that vibe. If it could have been stepping in both worlds, both mythic and in that line.
I'm gonna go ahead and disagree with all of you, and go with the Undead Builder pack, as if I could only get someone one figure to go in on.
Sure.
Just because I think all the parts that comes with it, all the thing you can do with just that one figure. Granted, it has a ton of extra parts, but like then you buy a Gideon or Elijah, and boom, you play for days with those two.
Yep.
Yeah.
Between that and the skeleton hands and feet pack, I'm going to be doctoring up my knights a bit beyond the skeleton heads that they come with. I'm gonna be putting some parts on them. They're gonna look pretty cool when I'm done with them. So
those three are all really good choices. To go back to the Gideon, to me, when I see that character, even the original Gideon, but this one even more so, like it just looks like that prototypical knight that you would expect to see. Like when I think of a knight, I think back to like the old Dungeons and Dragons figure. What was it, like Steelheart or something? What was his name?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. The LGN, the Silverheart, I think, maybe. I don't know.
Lionheart.
But is that what it was?
I'm pretty sure it's Lionheart.
Yeah. And he's got the mustache and the just this looks like that. So you look at this and you go, okay, that's an awesome knight, and he is fully loaded. I mean, he's like the Lexus with the leather seats and it's got the backup camera and all the the cool accessories with him. So
strong heart.
There it is.
I think
my favorite him as a kid.
My favorite thing on him is this pauldron, that eagle head pauldron.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at him, he tells a story. Like, if
can you go back to
look
that
at this
quick,
and just
Jesse?
be like, you can just tell the story of what he's about from that figure more than you could from the original release.
Look at all the belts. Is that 3 or 4 different belts on there?
Looks like 3.
Like, and every one of them's got like buckles and rivets, and like, and this is what I was trying to tell Cornboy last week. Like, we've got these older figures that have just these plain straps. Give us this thing, man. Give us a bunch of these in a pack. Man, I'm buying a dozen of those right away.
Yeah,
It's funny you mentioned that.
Curtis going on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, Curtis, because I was actually looking at my figures the other day, and I'm actually sitting here looking at Arethyr, which is like the first kind of full wave that I really got into, and I still love him, but I'm looking at him now, and I'm like, he's pretty plain comparatively to even some of the basic figures that are coming out now. For him to be one of the four horsemen, it's like I was just thinking I got to start looking for something to kind of dress him up a little bit. I don't know what he needs, but he is definitely a bit plain, especially the torso and everything.
Well, that's what I think on Oz's classes, things that they've been doing with Jesse and Shawn. They've been doing a real good job of illustrating to folks that, look forward, don't look back, because as great as those figures are, there's a chance that they could show up in an all-star. There's a chance that they could get a 2.0, and every wave that's come out has been better than the one before it. And we've got new parts and new accessories, and it just keeps getting better. So, take that $300 that you were going to spend on an old figure and, put it towards an all-in, or, part of an all-in on one of these waves, and you're going to be much better off, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Or just get some of these.
Yeah.
I agree. But that's what I said last night, in fact, because like Arethyr was one of those figures where I'm like, I have to get this figure when I first saw it. And the fact that, oh my God, it's a horse, like they didn't have horses until the Arethyr wave and all that. Holy crap, that's amazing. And you look backwards now and it's like, Oxus is really sexy compared to what Arethyr was doing back 2 years ago or whatever. And then you look at Necronominus now and you're like,
yeah,
Arethyr don't got crap on him. It's like it's almost that is something that makes me sad in some ways of some lines. Only it's not like a bad thing that the lines progress and they become bigger and better. But when you look back at some of those characters that were pivotal characters to show you the line is now moving in a different direction or moving in a better direction, it's like you look back at that and you're like, that was a key moment in the line, but boy, does that guy not capture what they're doing now. It's like he's already dated looking. It's really weird.
Right.
So,
yeah, and I'll say my top pick of the wave, because we skipped ahead pretty quick, would be Conobus. If I could just get one thing, if I'm not counting the 2-pack, it'd be the horse.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
As far as like the figures getting better and stuff, like going into that G-Con, the one thing I did not want to see, and people were asking for it or thinking, predicting it, was a Gideon 2.0. I was like, I do not want a Gideon 2.0. I spent a lot of time and money getting my original Gideon, and I love it, and it's just so good, and I did not want to see a second version. And then they show that one. It's like, how can you not love it? Like the shield, the shoulder armor, like it's just so good. And so as much as I love the first one, it's like the second one's even better. And it's kind of, you guys are Motu guys, but it's like, when they put out Battle Armor He-Man, when you saw that for the first time, it wasn't like the old He-Man is now crap, but it's like, hey, look at this cool look too. Like this is awesome as well.
absolutely.
So I don't know how I'm going to, because I don't like to have multiple of the same character in my collection, but I'm going to have to figure out some way to do it.
You just put the original Gideon with a different knight helmet on or something, and he's just like his like lieutenant or something,
Yeah.
Well, that or you could almost do it.
Here.
You can almost do it in that whole like I still have Battle Armor He-Man with the normal He-Man on my shelf. I almost look at it as, but it's a power-up version. Like this is him if he has to draw on the power of Grayskull again. And it's sort of the same thing with Gideon in this case. It's like this is him going to battle. This is him like this guy, Necronominus is now on the battlefield. Get me my armor, and he just loads himself up. And that's like the original one to me would be like, well, that's him on a daily basis. But the minute all hell is breaking loose on that battlefield, he comes out looking like that. And that's your boy going into battle. And it's like, it's that whole thing of who wouldn't follow that guy into battle the minute that armor's on him and he's like, 2 arms! That is loud.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, like that to me is almost that way. It's like you see the growth in the character of, okay, the original is his everyday attire, but then boom, this is his Necronominus is on the field. Let's do this, you know? So that's the way I'd do it, at least if it was my.
Or just put a skeleton head on him. Put a skull on him.
Done. Yeah.
Speaking of the different versions of He-Man, real quick, I don't want to get us too off track. Sorry, Jesse. But did you guys get the Mondo He-Man? The last one. And what version do you have displayed? Is it battle armor? Is it flying fist? Is it regular? What's your go-to?
I've still got mine set up in the Thunder Punch. Shawn and I showed him off on our latest episode of Legends of Grayskull Podcast, available now on YouTube or wherever pods are cast. And so when I was setting him up, I go now because I knew Shawn was going to show his off too, and I go, there's a pretty good chance Shawn's going to go classic version. There's probably about 75% chance he goes battle armor, and just knowing Shawn, I'm like, there's a 0% chance he goes Thunder Punch. And so I did Thunder Punch for that, and then I set him up, and he stayed that way for now. It's definitely one that I'm going to be cycling through the different armors.
That's the other question I was going to have for you guys. Are you going to switch it out every so often? And and I want to try and find some sort of, I don't know, little rack or some way to display the armors when he's not wearing them. Ooh, that's a good idea.
That's cool. So I can set them up around him. Little hooks or something, lean the swords up there. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I started with Flying Fist, and I'm thinking that once Battle Cat comes, he'll be in the original, like Shawn's showing there, and then be sitting on top of Battle Cat is probably going to be my go-to.
How'd you do Flying Fist? He doesn't come with Flying Fist.
Or not Flying Fist. I'm sorry.
I couldn't let it go.
What is it? The one that you just said.
Thunder Punch.
The Thunder Punch.
Yeah.
Thunder Punch. I'm thinking of the fist because they got that really cool flaming fist that comes with it. And I love that. That's like my favorite part of the whole thing. That and then the translucent sword is really cool too.
That's what I've got him with, the translucent sword. Yep, full Thunder Punch. And Shawn and I were talking too. Like, I'm looking forward to playing around with some different looks, like doing the battle armor with the red gauntlets and the fist. And like, there's some mix and match options there that can be really fun as well.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. Sorry to take it in a Motu direction, Jesse. I know. Yeah.
No, that we're totally going in a Motu direction tonight with some of the conversation. So
Walter in the chat says he wishes that he had the money for Mondo. Says the man who has how many trolls? You got the money for Mondo. You spend it all on Mythic Legions.
Yeah, I don't mind. I think the Mondo stuff is really cool. I don't have any of it. I probably will not be getting any of it, but it's really cool. But yeah,
I just had to like stop everything else. But when I got into Mythic Legions, I kept Mondos and Mythics, and that was it. I sold everything I had in Origins. Yeah. I got out of every other line that I was collecting besides those two. So
Walter, you can come over anytime. Open invitation.
Absolutely.
Likewise.
Yeah, trolls are necessary. I mean, Brick was rolling in them last night. I think he only had 2.
Yeah.
But
I think he was ready to get a stroller for his and just take it for a walk. So, yeah.
We'll do a quick shout out to all the folks in the chat real quick. We got Danny's out there.
Yeah.
Simone, Dan, Eldor, Len is here or was here. I don't know.
I think he was just popping in to give me shit because he made a smart ass comment at me, and I told him I was leaving the chat that we were in to go to our show, and so then he followed me here just to troll me.
Oz is here. Thanks for go ahead, hit that like button.
Smash it.
Identity theft is not a joke, Jim.
I love identity theft is not a joke, Jim.
Elijah rocking it. I guess it's not what is it 2 a.m. over in the UK right now? 2:30.
Well, I mean, we also got Masterversal Toy Hunter. I mean, what time is it in
Yeah.
Eternia right now?
It's tomorrow in Eternia.
I guess
It's
like that.
tomorrow in the UK too. Spiderface, Doug Tupper, me, Brian Almeida from Duarte Studios, Walter, and a lot of Walter. Welcome, guys, gals, whoever's watching that I'm not seeing in the chats. So, taking it on to the next step of our Motu discussion, I gave these gentlemen an assignment this week.
Yeah.
One of them already turned it in, so extra credit to Curtis because
we were supposed to turn it in. You said
No.
not to discuss it.
I didn't want you guys to discuss it amongst yourselves. He just sent me what he was thinking. No.
So really, he broke the rules. He doesn't get extra credit. He gets a
I didn't
demerit.
tell him not to
I
discuss it
just
with
sent visual
10
aids.
points off to the House of Ackerman.
I sent visual aids in case Jesse wanted to pull it up on the show, but we did not discuss anything.
Yeah. I'm not pulling it up because the other guys didn't, and I didn't want to. Yeah.
You don't want to show them up? That's fine.
Yeah. Well,
No,
I mean,
no.
I didn't make one either. So.
Oh, gotcha.
So, the question, I don't remember exactly how I worded it, was if you could cast a Masters of the Universe movie, pick a couple of heroes, a couple of bad guys. What's the setting? What's the story? Let's just go. We'll go around. We'll go through the heroes first. We'll start with we'll go with Duch, Shawn, Curtis, and then I'll go. So, who's your heroes?
Way to be put on the spot.
You had like a whole week to prepare.
I will preface this with I'm terrible at fan casting. So I am definitely more with the story in that. So I've got a couple of cast people, but I did not cast my entire thing.
Okay.
So but yeah, I want a Masters movie, the first movie, to basically hit the ground running. We don't need any lengthy origin. We don't need Adam becoming He-Man in the last 5 minutes of the movie. You know, we've done that. We don't need it for this. I want this to just take place. Adam is He-Man. And we have a high-flying action adventure with Skeletor trying to take over Grayskull. I mean, just keep it simple. Okay. There's no reason to go nutso with this. So basically, starting at the beginning, then, I mean, you need your basics. You need your He-Man, your Man-Arms, your Teela, King and Queen. And I know there's a ton of masters there. I'd probably throw in like Fisto and Cyclone and Ram Man just to kind of round it out. If anything, I would say give a bunch of background spots, but try and keep the core cast relatively small. That way we can just, get with the story. For the bad guys, same thing. Keep it.
Nope.
Yeah.
I just wanted your heroes.
Yep, we're just doing our heroes right now. So the fan castings I have out of the heroes is Man at Arms. I want to be Terry Crews. He's got the body for it. I think he plays a good mentor for anyone who's seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He can handle the comedy. He can handle the seriousness. And I think Masters needs a blend of that. So,
okay.
And then Ram Man, I don't know why, but I just can't get the idea out of my head of Rob Gronkowski as Ram Man. I don't know. It just popped into my head.
Staring off into space.
I'm trying. I'm not landing on that face.
Famously with the New England Patriots, their tight end was with Brady for many seasons.
Okay.
He's retired now, so he needs something to do. And I think that's where they got to go. They got to go to, the former wrestlers, the former athletes. I really think that this is a cast that needs to, if you're going to go live action, you got to rely less on CGI and more on just big, likable guys.
Okay. Shawn, Who's your hero team and who's playing them?
All right, so I mean, I went pretty traditional for the most part, but Duch doing the whole Ram Man thing just had me with an idea, so I put him down real quick too. All right, so He-Man, I'm just one of those people. I would be happy if Chris Hemsworth showed up and just, I mean, he to me is that, and then the other person, if we couldn't get that guy, Alan Ritchson from Reacher. I honestly like that dude's big. And my version of He-Man would be a little more maybe like the strong silent type at times versus being more Filmation-esque. So the idea of him being there and it's like deeds not words with that guy and showing you he's the good guy by the action he accomplishes. Teela, there's only one name I keep coming back to. Karen Gillian or Jillian from the Jumanji movies, and she's Nebula in Guardians of the Galaxy. That girl, especially in Jumanji, every time I see her, I'm like, that girl could pull this off. And she's even in that Gunpowder Milkshake. So she's doing all this crazy action stuff that I never once look at her and go, that's ridiculous. I always see her as, no, it works. She could do this, and she's got the attitude.
For
she's
what
definitely
character?
got that attitude. For Teela.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Man-at-Arms, I went with I like what Matt did. I kind of did the racial swap thing in one option. Idris Elba, I think, would be a pretty good Man-at-Arms. And if I wanted to stick with the more traditional Man-at-Arms, the person that kind of stuck with me the more I thought about was Stephen Lang for some reason. He's got that old, like that grizzled soldier kind of vibe, and I don't know, like it depends on how the movie is. If it's going to be more like Filmation-esque, he might not work. You might maybe have to find somebody. Like as much as I wasn't a fan, like the Nick Offerman might actually be a better version of Man-at-Arms if they did more Filmation-centric, because he can do the heartfelt stuff as well. But if you're doing more action and warrior-esque, Stephen Lang would be okay, I guess. And then just because he mentioned Ram Man, and I'm like, here's somebody that would be kind of fun. Ram Man, I would actually cast John Cena.
Yeah,
he's already rocking the Peacemaker helmet. I could kind of buy it, like, and he plays well with that whole. He could be kind of silly and dorky and stupid, but then he can also go into battle and kick some ass at the same time, like in Peacemaker. So for the good guy, and then if you want to do the good guys, Randor, Marlena, and Sorceress, I'll throw them in the mix too for my good guys. Randor, I went with Liam Neeson just because everybody seems to think he's got that regalness and his voice and everything. He's got the stature. Queen Marlena, I went with Julianne Moore. She's got a gravatas as well for her age, and I think their ages sync up pretty well to be like husband and wife. And then Sorceress, I went with Robin Wright, just because I like the idea of her being a little less motherly and a little more fierce in that instance, but she still had, like her in Wonder Woman, she taught Diana, but at the same time she also had like that motherliness, but she also was making her become a trained warrior at the same time. So that's where I went.
Okay.
The only thing I have to comment on is I don't know if I could take Nick Offerman seriously as Man-at-Arms.
That's always been my problem, and that's it. Like he's going to be in the last of us, so that makes me curious. But he always is going to be Ron Swanson,
right?
And
like even when
you give him that mustache, oh god,
he's dead serious, but it's hilarious all the time.
Oh, so is that how you feel about John Krasinski when you see him as anything but Jim?
No, John Krasinski. He doesn't carry the same thing as Nick Offerman. Nick Offerman is just always hilarious, no matter what he does, no matter how serious he is.
If Nick Offerman is Man-at-Arms, the very end of the movie is a moment between him and Adam. He's like, "I just want you to know, I'm really proud." And that's it. Then it cut to black.
And he just bites into like a chicken leg or something, or a turkey
Yeah,
leg.
I mean,
Yeah.
he'd be like the new Gwildor. He'd just be constantly eating all the time while he's on the battlefield. It's like, it's never enough. Where's the meat?
Curtis, who's your hero team?
All right. So first of all, I did not cast a Ram Man, but since you guys both mentioned it, I think Kevin James would be a great Ram Man. Just throwing that
Yeah,
out there.
he'd be pretty decent.
Okay. Okay.
But I went a little different. So I only went with 5 heroes and 4 villains, which we'll get to the villains in a little bit. So I wanted to keep it kind of small, and I didn't want it to be, to like what Duch was saying. I don't want it to be the start of, we're telling the whole lore and doing all this kind of stuff. You're just kind of getting into a story.
Mhm.
So the first hero that you would see in my film would be Gwildor. And he is played by Danny DeVito.
Okay.
So, and I don't know if he would actually be playing it like in a suit or if it would be more CGI and he's just doing the voice. But that is the first character you would see. Then you would have Zodak, and it's the Zodak with a K from 2000X. And it would be played by Mike Coulter he played Luke Cage.
Yeah.
I think he would be a really good Zodak.
He's got the stature and the voice. He could even do that voice from 2000X. That Mike, what's his name? Michael Judge, or
Yeah.
I know his last name was Judge. Christopher Judge, I think.
Are we supposed to get into story at all here, Jesse, or no
Just
story yet?
list your heroes first.
Okay. So my next character that would show up would be the Sorceress, and I have Kate Blanchett, and I'm specifically thinking of like her Hela that she played in Thor Ragnarok, like that.
Yeah.
Like I obviously it wouldn't be an evil character, but I just feel like she has that. She can portray strength and beauty and that kind of all at once. So then I mean everybody's got to have this character. It's Xanthor. I mean everybody knows
knew that guy
and
was
loves
gonna
I
Xanthor.
knew it.
Xanthor is amazing. He's the best cosmic enforcer there is. Great backstory, redemption tale. And I would actually have him played by John Bernthal. So that's my Xanthor pick. And finally, at the tail end of the movie, you got to bring in He-Man. You got to have him. So I didn't have everybody, all the other main characters and stuff, but you got to have He-Man. And I did pick Alan Richmond, the Reacher guy. I thought that he would be a good He-Man. So those are my heroes.
Awesome. I'm going to be honest. I didn't have mine picked. I would pick.
So you get negative credit.
No, but I have them. No, I've been thinking about it, but I didn't have them all listed out. I would pick Liam Cunningham as Man-at-Arms. He's the guy who voiced him in Masterverse.
Yeah.
I absolutely love him in Game of Thrones. I think he's just got that. He's got that vibe, and I'll get into the setting more, but like I would say, it would be more of a not realistic, like boring world, but more Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, realistic type setting. So, they wouldn't be as, sorry, Shawn and Steven, they wouldn't be as bulky, like the typical look. But yeah, so he would be Man-at-Arms. I would have, was it Millie Alcock from House of the Dragon as Tila? She was the young Millie Alcock. She was Princess Rhaenyra in the first couple episodes of the show.
The young one.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Not the little girl, but when she was before they did the time jump.
Gotcha.
Sorceress would be Shawn, you'll like this one. Kate Beckinsale.
Nice.
And who's He-Man? I don't know He-Man. I feel like He-Man would need to be someone who's an unknown quantity at this point.
I agree.
I think all the choices you guys had are great, but I think a character like that with so much expectation, someone coming in that's an unknown would be a really good chance. Not necessarily that they've never acted before, but just someone who's not as known. And I know one guy that's sticking out to me. I know he is completely not the look people would normally think of for He-Man. Is I'm trying to remember the actor's name. Tenoch Huerta, who played Namor in Wakanda Forever.
Wow.
I know he's not the typical blonde-haired barbarian look, but he's a big dude. I think in the version in my mind, I think he would be a fun He-Man.
Yeah, see, I can never cast He-Man. Like, there's no one out there that, like you said, that I've seen that I can go, yeah, that he's got it. I mean, it's such a specific look and personality. You have to have a warmth and a strength. Like, I really don't know. I think the best bet is to find, like you said, some unknown, somebody off the radar with some good experience, but just there's no one I've ever come across. I'm just like, yeah, he's perfect for it.
I forgot my last one is Orko.
Oh, I had an Orko too.
And it would be a performance capture and voiced by Doug Jones.
Okay. I was actually going to do Orko too, and I was going to do the same thing, your CGI or motion capture, but I was going to give the voice to Griffin Newman, who voiced him in the Revelation series, because I thought he just did a bang-up job.
He did. He really did. Okay. We'll start back with Duch. Who are your villains?
Villains, same thing. Got to keep it basic. So you got Skeletor, Beastman, Evelyn. I'd save Merman for a sequel, because I think if you're going to do Merman, you kind of got it, like, that could be a whole side adventure, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And same thing, I think Curtis and I are on the same page. Like, you just got to hit the ground running, just have a nice ABC adventure, you know, and just introduce people to the world. So we would save Merman for a sequel. And then I'd throw in Too Bad and probably Cobra Khan too, just to get a little variety. Okay. And actually, Shawn, it's funny because with the cast I had, I was gonna say John Cena for Too Bad and have him play both heads, just in different styles.
That'd be fun.
I know this is your turn. I'm gonna throw in real quick there. I would love to say Key and Peele playing Too Bad.
There you go. We could do that too. Those are my villains. I have no other casting besides the Too Bad. So
okay.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, I kind of did. Crap. I kind of did the traditional. Just out of. I didn't. My story's pretty. It's not the same as Curtis or Matt's idea, but I'd want to play it where it's, you know, you introduce the main force of the villains. So I got Skeletor, and I mean, I really want this guy for a different role, but I'm gonna give it to him on this one. I had to go Willem Dafoe. The voice works for me. He sound like I'm just picturing the fight Tom Holland and he did in the part where May dies in No Way Home. Oh, it's been out. And
spoiler alert.
And I just like the whole him laughing as he's getting pummeled and still bringing on more every time. It's like I think that works, and I'd rather see Skeletor as a little less physically ready to take on He-Man, but using magic and the dark arts to fight He-Man in that way, because it works for me in that way. He can be brawn, or He-Man can be the brawn, Skeletor can be the magic side of it. I could not for the life of me think of who I could pick as Beastman.
All right.
The only person that kept coming to my head, and I'm like, is is, I'd say, Dwayne Johnson, with the bigness of him at least, and then, like him getting crazy in some of those movies where he's like yelling and all that stuff. It's like I could kind of buy it, but he's not perfect casting. But he's more that's the casting I'd like to see at least. And then I have Trapjaw down, and I kind of dig the idea of Dave Bautista playing him. He's got range. He like watching Glass Onion, watching Drax, and he's definitely showing he wants to act. So you could make him more like the CGI Cronus and be duplicitous behind Skeletor's back, maybe with Evil Lyn and him teaming up and trying to like circumvent Skeletor, and they become the masters of the universe throughout the movie if you want to go there. And I went Evil Lyn, and the first name that comes to mind with her is Eva Green for me, but I also think older wise, it maybe to match the sorceress in that way, Catherine Zeta-Jones would be kind of fun. Everybody always goes to Angelina Jolie, and it's like Maleficent already did that. I'm good, but either of those two women I think would have a nuance to it that Angelina Jolie might not care to bring to that kind of a role.
Okay,
Curtis.
I've only got 4 named villains, but I was kind of assuming there would be like some Horde troopers, so nameless, faceless, whatever actors, Horde troopers, no non-speaking role. So with that, you've got to have a Hordak. My Hordak would be Idris Elba. I just thought that he would be able to pull off that role, kind of be this intimidating, scary presence. So I've also got a Skeletor, which I kind of was, I don't know, I think I was going based on looks because I went with Matt Smith from House of Dragon. He was a Doctor Who. Like I just look at him and he's got a Skeletor looking face to me. So for some reason he just kept sticking in my head.
He's been trying to do the. I mean, I know in House of the Dragon he's that guy everybody hates. I get that. Even though I've never watched an episode, I see it in social media. But like he's always been trying to crack the opposite of Doctor Who. And so in that way, it's like, why not go with Skeletor? Let him go with that. You know, it's like take that archetypal evil. That'd be cool.
Yeah, and then I went with I've got a Triclops, and because in my story there's a need for some ingenuity, some tech wizardry, as it were. So I went with Triclops, and I actually put Henry Cavill in there. And normally I probably wouldn't put somebody that recognizable, but because you're going to have the visor over his face and covering that portion of it, I think it would work, and he would have the bulk to pull off kind of the barbarian look of Triclops.
I like it.
And then my last pick, because you still need some kind of tech wizardry, is Modulok. So, basically you got, Hordak and Modulok, you've got Skeletor and Triclops, and they're all working together towards this story that I'm going to tell in a little bit, I guess. And I put Andy Serkis as Modulok. I think that, he's done a lot of work with, voicing characters that are CGI and that kind of thing. And I think he could pull off a really crazy, cool Modulok. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'll piggyback right off of that. Andy Serkis is my pick for Skeletor.
Okay.
I think just between the creepy crawly stuff he does with Gollum, the authority and stuff he does as Caesar in the Planet of the Apes movies, I think he would be my Skeletor. And again, I don't remember who said it, that he wouldn't necessarily be like the physical match to He-Man, but he'd be more with the wizardry and the powers and the technology stuff. Just because I like the conceptual opposition of strength versus the technology kind of a thing, or the powers. I just lost her name. For Evil Lyn would be I just watched a show with her today, Emily Blunt. Evelyn. And let's see, I would also have Beastman, Stinkor, and Trapjaw. Beastman would be Dave Bautista.
Okay.
I just his size, and I think he could. I mean, I think he's different enough of a character from Drax, especially if they go kind of that Revelation way where he and Evelyn kind of had something going on, and Trapjaw would be Curtis. He was one of your picks, I think.
Bernthal, Cavill, Mike Coulter, Idris Elba, Matt Smith, Andy Serkis. Maybe he wasn't.
Maybe it wasn't one of yours. Well, Stinkor would be Bill Skarsgård.
Oh yeah,
Pennywise.
that would be good. I almost picked him as Skeletor.
Oh, nice.
I was like this. Yeah, I was real close, but yeah.
And who did I have as Trapjaw? I think I don't know if you said who did you say was Trapjaw, Curtis?
I didn't have a Trapjaw.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you said Bernthal, and maybe that's what it was. I think
he was
Bernthal would
Xanathar
be
for
a good Trapjaw.
I could see that.
Oh, we scared off the Duch. Oh, he's back.
Yeah, he's back. So,
and that's why I think Matt should play
Trapjaw.
Goatman.
Yeah, gotcha. I was thinking Pig Boy, but it's
I'll be Frogmonger. I'll just be in the dungeon grate the whole time.
So we want to go over like basic story now,
Yeah,
or
yeah. Let's go basic story.
Starting with Douche.
Yes.
I'll get you to say it right one of these days.
What's he saying?
He knows what he's saying.
What?
That's why it's PG-13 this night.
What?
So yeah, so
Ira in the Douche.
so basically just so we're jumping right into it. Adam's He-Man, Skeletor's, a force to be reckoned with at Snake Mountain, and basically just give Skeletor I mean, as bad as it sounds, he just needs a MacGuffin. He needs to get X to get into Grayskull. I mean, I'm keeping mine real simple. This whole first movie, because I see this as at least a trilogy in my mind. And so this whole first movie is just, let's get to know these core heroes, these core villains, and have them adventure together. So I'd start it off with, He-Man taking care of some little stuff. This is a great opportunity to get some of the lesser villains in here, just in little cameos. Stinkor trying to steal something, and He-Man catching him. Take the opportunity to get some good, strife between King Randor and Adam. Set up that whole angle. Basically, I think the big problem everybody has right now with the franchise is they all want to do the end of everything, the Armageddon, the secrets out. Like, no, you need to set the groundwork here and just show the world. I mean, I'm talking in my mind, this like Avatar levels of a world building. If you do Eternia right and do it alien and foreign, so that's where all, I think you really got to take this opportunity to make a alien planet and explore that. So have them racing against time, against Skeletor, try through the Evergreen Forest, through the Mystic Mountains, and I would just pull, just for Curtis, have Skeletor going after the golden discs of knowledge, and it's a race against time. We've got to discover where they are, and we've got to find them. We got to stop him. and end it with a battle of He-Man and Skeletor at the gates of Grayskull. Like, there's your movie. Don't need to kill Skeletor. Don't need to banish him. Don't need to do any of that. Just stop him. Stop him and go another day. That's another trap that I feel that too many of the, superhero movies, because at the end of the day, He-Man to me, should be a superhero movie. I guess maybe Shawn might feel differently. But full transformation sequence. I've been wanting to see a full transformation sequence on the big screen since I was a little kid. So, have him change back and forth. Adam to He-Man, He-Man to Adam. Spare no expense on the budget. But at the end of the day, have all the pieces ready. And then as we get into the second and third movies, then we can start amping it up a little bit and have some severe lasting effects. But first movie, He-Man, Skeletor, race to stop Skeletor.
Okay,
Cool.
Shawn?
That works.
I took mine in a different direction because I really do. If it was me being able to do this, I want to finally do mini comics. The old school. Not the first four. Their stories are a little convoluted, but I want to go to that feel, and I want to also Filmation never addressed where Skeletor's from. 2000X did, and some people still aren't the most. It's accepted. Oh, it's his uncle, and they even did it in the CGI show and stuff. But I always wanted Skeletor to be a demon from another dimension. So I like the idea that the first movie would set the stage of this demon from another dimension breaching the veil between the dimensions and invading Eternia. And he shows up and he brings destruction with him. And I like the idea where I'm still not the biggest fan of the whole Adam into He-Man thing as much as other fans of. Hey, I'm just saying. I'm not the biggest fan, but I'm willing to go there in the fact that it makes the story a little less convoluted. I think to tell this, and also when you're starting to take certain liberties, if you pull everything out from under the fans, you're going to have trouble. So I like the idea that Randor is trying to work with Adam to understand what it means to be king, and maybe they're even doing a ceremony, and it's it's about King Grayskull, because that's one other thing I forgot to mention. I don't mind the idea of King Grayskull being someone in the very, very, very distant past of Eternia that they're honoring, as he's the one that maybe united Eternia, and he also managed to stop the Horde, or he stopped Snake Man. It doesn't matter which version, in my opinion. But they're doing this ceremony, and they have all the legions of the Royal Guard and everything, and all of a sudden this portal is breached. They're not ready. Nobody knows what the hell is happening. Nobody's breached a portal into Eternia at this point, and all of a sudden this demonic skull-faced overlord of evil comes through, and he just managed, along with his group, he manages to annihilate most of the ranks that are there. And it's like Adam barely survived. Teela and Duncan managed to get out, but Randor now is off the board too. So now all of a sudden you have a kingdom without a king, whether he dies, whether he's captured, 2000X style, whatever. But Teela is trying to get Adam off the battlefield, and Duncan automatically get him to Grayskull. And she's like, "What? Why do we need to get him there?" She's arguing this with him and stuff. And Duncan's just like, "Get him to Grayskull." And they're trying to get him to Grayskull. He's wounded. They're tending to him along the way and all this stuff. Skeletor, in the meantime, is wreaking havoc. They're trying to reach back and find out more information on what's happening. They're not getting much. They're knowing. It's almost, I hate to say it, it's almost the 87 movie to an extent, but they're not going to Earth, for the love of God. But basically, yeah, they get him to Grayskull. Teela doesn't make it. She ends up having to do something along the way. Plot, here's a side plot or whatever that Teela ends up
killed
having to
her?
deal with. No, she's dealing with a side plot.
Oh,
I didn't.
You said she didn't make it.
She didn't make
she
it to
didn't.
Grayskull, but she's on the journey,
Oh, okay.
and there's something that diverts her, or or she ends up having to fight somebody like Trapjaw on the way, whatever. And we get it, like, so it's Duncan, Adam, the sorceress there at Grayskull, and the whole, he gets the sword, and it's the idea of, okay, this is something we've never come up against. He gets the sword for the first time by the power of Grayskull, and it's the sorceress judges him not on, he wants to get back at Skeletor, or he wants to get back at whatever happened. The way that she tests him is almost like a, why do you feel that you should wield this sword? And he goes, because people need help. Boom. She knows this is a kid that is not interested in having the power of the universe in his hands, but he wants to help if he got the power of the universe in his hands. So then that's where it's like, okay, here's the sword. And basically, I want to have an old-fashioned action-adventure movie after that point. And you see how Skeletor is not filmation. He's not a joke. He is somebody, he's more Frank Langella 87 movie Skeletor, where if you did something wrong, he will kill you. He is not going to mince words. He is very much, I deserve this. I want this. I want the power. And there is this feeling in this movie of, why does he want this so bad? Because that's another thing that always bugged me about Skeletor. Why does he want this so bad? So there
to
is
revive
this
his dead wife and child.
Yes, who both are skull faced as well. I hate that. Thank you, prequel comics. That was great. But I just like the idea. He's so desperate to get in to Grayskull and unlock all this power and mystery, and they can't even figure out why this guy wants it. He just shows up and he's wrecking the joint. And it is the idea, like, going into the end of the movie, he wants the power because he knows that he has to get away from Hordak. Hordak is out there. Hordak is conquering, and Skeletor is sick of being under his thumb, and he wants the power to fight Hordak off and finally be his own person and out from under him. And He-Man won't let him. He-Man is stopping him at the gates of Grayskull, and it's the whole, I will kill you if you don't let me do it. It's not his birthright, the way that Langella made it, but it's flat out, I have to do this or else I have to deal with Hordak again, and I'm running from this guy. And then by the third movie, you see what that whole deal is and all that stuff. Kind of like the trilogy that Matt was talking about. But yeah, like He-Man would be more like the barbarian-esque mini comic version, but there would be that Adam in there who's the heart of the guy, like kind of like little Steve becoming Captain America. But there's always that, you can see that little guy from Brooklyn underneath, even though he's huge and all that. I dig that quite a lot and stuff. But and I think the idea of him saying, I want the power to help, will come in handy when the Horde comes and he sees what they do to Skeletor. Even it would be like there would be some fun things to play out through the morality of what He-Man thinks in that moment within the story, and it would open up some interesting angles.
Okay. Awesome. Curtis.
All right. I'm going to take this a little different direction. I'm a huge He-Man fan. I love Masters of the Universe. Grew up with it. It's, in my DNA. But as much as we talk great about the Mythic Legion community, the Motu community is freaking terrible. I hate it. Just hate it. It is one of the worst communities in the toy realm that you could be a part of. Mini comic guys hate the Filmation guys. Filmation guys hate the 2000X guys. Everybody hates the Revelation guys. Like, nobody can agree on anything. Okay. And you even bring up the She-Ra series and people lose their freaking minds, So you can't please people in the Motu community. No matter what you do, no matter what you put out there, you're going to have people that say they love this property, that instead of being happy to see something for this property, are going to be fighting over it wasn't exactly what they wanted to see. And then the people that don't know about He-Man or aren't entrenched in their DNA in He-Man aren't going to care to see the movie. So I don't think you could start with like an origin or even like a basic He-Man and Man-at-Arms going, and Skeletor going to Castle Grayskull. I just don't think it would work. I think the Motu community would tear it apart, and other people wouldn't give a crap. What I do think could possibly work is if you took an approach like building it like an MCU. There is a wealth of characters within Masters of the Universe that aren't just those main characters. So if you started with a Stratos story, or you started with a Merman story, or whatever, you took one of these side characters and did a Guardians of the Galaxy type, like really off the wall flick that people are like, why are you starting with this? And then you added another little film that was a side story, and another film that was a side story. And next thing you know, you've got this thing created that people actually care about. That's how I would do it. I wouldn't start with your main guys and you know, Adam, and you know, is he Adam? Is Skeletor his uncle? Is he a demon? Like, forget all that stuff. Like, I just think that's not the way to go. So the way that I went was, I've always liked the Cosmic Enforcers. To me, they're kind of like the Green Lantern Corps of, you know, the Motu universe. They are the protectors, but they also need to try to stay neutral, not involved unless the balance of power is shifting. So I wanted to get a story around them. But if you're going to do that, you've got to have something that's pretty epic, pretty big story. So mine starts out, it's kind of along the same lore of the 87 movie. So He-Man's always He-Man. I don't know if he was Prince Adam at some point and then he was transformed back and forth and now all of a sudden he's just He-Man all the time, or if he's never been, I don't know. But it's just like the 87 movie where he's just He-Man. He-Man's He-Man. And so it kind of continues a little bit after 87 movie left off, and Hordak is upset with Skeletor. You know, he's sent him here to take over, get the power of Grayskull, do all this and that, and Skeletor has just failed right and left. Skeletor has an idea to become more powerful and to, you know, basically control everything. And that is to, you know, use the cosmic key to not just go to Earth, but to go to all these different realms and build up, amass an army and technology that they need to take over everything. So they captured Gwildor, and they're trying to get Gwildor to build them another cosmic key, and Gwildor won't do it. And they torture him, won't do it. Gwildor actually dies. He gets killed. I was kind of toyed with maybe him getting turned and becoming evil and something like that, but I think that we just killed Gwildor. But based on the information that they were able to get from his old, whether it's schematics or diagrams or whatever, that Triclops and Modulok work together and they build a new cosmic key. And through that, they send a horde army and start going to these other realms and start taking over. And the Cosmic Enforcers are sent to go stop them. And so you've got some Cosmic Enforcers that are maybe not named ones that we've heard before, but then obviously you've got Zodak, and then we've got Xanthor, and they're failing to stop Hordak and Skeletor as they go to these other realms. And so at some point in the movie, towards the tail end of the movie, they need some help. They need He-Man. They go to the Sorceress for help, but the He-Man's powers, for whatever reason, being away from Grayskull, will not work on all these other realms. The only way to get him to retain his powers is to give him a Cosmic Enforcer harness. And so they get this black Cosmic Enforcer harness from this old Cosmic Enforcer Wondar and put that on He-Man, which allows him to retain his powers as he travels with Xanthor and Zodak to go stop Hordak and Skeletor in these other realms. So that's kind of how that story would go. I don't know if this would be the first movie that I would go after. I may do, like I said, I would do like some side stories first to build up to something like this, but that's kind of the take that I would have rather than your classic, you know, starting from scratch, you know, backstory and lore and all that. So that's my idea.
Cool. I'll try to keep this quick. Mine is, and some of this comes from Shawn talking about the mini comics, and and I've never read those, but I like the idea of Adam kind of always being the barbarian, like where he's he is who he is. Maybe there's a transformation at some point, like you were saying, Curtis, in the past. But when we come into the story, he is who he is. I really like some of the elements of the CG series where he's not growing up in the palace as a prince. I like that he's more a person of like a village. He's a young man. He he's strong looking and everything, and something's happening. And maybe the village is in the shadow of Grayskull. Grayskull is like the haunted mansion at the basically on the other side of the valley. Like they live in the shadow of it. Something horrible happened up there. Nobody goes up there. And yeah, like I agree with Shawn again. The whole Skeletor being like this demon lord from some other universe coming in, and not wanting to have to. He's here to take the power from Grayskull because somehow he knows there's something there. So it'd just be that kind of basic good versus evil. And maybe he wouldn't be like the fully powered up He-Man, but he's not like a little kid. He's not like the young man. So the power of Grayskull, I like Shawn was saying, like the hope to lead the people and everything. Because I love the way they do Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings. Like he does some magic, but it's more like his leadership and his inspiration. And I love that moment it was at the second half of the Revelation series where, like he says something, I can't remember how he worded it. Shawn, you probably remember when people were like, find someplace safe, and they're like, where's safe? And he's like, behind me or whatever, and he charges.
There's one place behind me.
Yeah, like that kind of a thing where he's he helps lead that, but like yeah, I like the interplay. I like Skeletor is vicious. Like he will cut down one of the main named henchmen in like the first half of the movie because of something that they failed. And He-Man and Teela and Man-at-Arms, like he's like, I like the idea of him. Maybe he's like wandering in and he's trying to track down his history, and he finds out his family was from Grayskull, and like his origin story leads him back to this area or something. But I like him being more kind of like an Aragorn ranger wandering the wilds and stuff, helping people out where he can, and then he gets caught up into this bigger threat with Skeletor and the evil minions coming from other realms and stuff. And then Skeletor brings people from that are already in Eternia to his side at the end of the movie, kind of like when you see Thanos turn around at the end of Avengers or whatever, where you see him lined up with like all the other minions from Eternia or whatever.
It's cool.
I completely agree. That would be great for a movie too. And not to get on too much of a tangent, but the CGI series is a phenomenal series that really pays a lot of love and respect to the source material, and a lot of source material that doesn't get too much love anymore, like the mini comics. Yeah, if you like He-Man, really give that CGI show a chance. Screw you, Stephen Bisciotti. But it's good to see you, buddy. I've been worried about you. I don't think he's been on anything lately. So, and real quick, Curtis, I trust me, I get the Motu community and its pitfalls, but have you met the Star Wars community? Can you really say that Motu is the worst?
Yeah, somebody said Star Wars has more. I have not been connected to the Star Wars community, so I can't say that, but
it's horrible.
Going from Motu to Mythic Legions was night and day. Like it was like I got into Mythic Legions community. I'm like, what is this? These people like each other. They're supportive of one another. They like, what is going on? Like, I don't get it. So
they all do F, Marry, Kill on their podcasts.
Yes, it's amazing.
And only Jesse lives through all the scenarios.
As it should be.
You can't kill the Care Bear.
I agree though. Like Curtis made a really good point. Like no matter how I think I said this previously on another podcast. Like I would never want to be involved in the movie of Masters of the Universe at this point, because there are so many different takes on what it should be. And I mean, we even have the like Matt's saying, the CGI show has a whole new take in the spirit, but it's still a different take on it. I've accepted it because I really enjoy that. I don't know what the story is supposed to, like, I don't know all the answers. And when they do something to throw a complete, like left or right turn, I'm just like, okay, I gotta know what else happens here. Like, I mean, the end of season 3 made me go like, what can we do with this now? That's awesome. But I again, yeah, like for me, I always say it, but it's true. Like, I go back to the mini comics, and then when I remember sitting down in front of the TV being so pumped for this cartoon, and then all of a sudden Orko shows up, and I go, what the hell is that? Like, what? Who is that? Was never in anything. Where is this guy from? And from that moment on, I always looked at the show as being kind of like a watered down version of what the toys were trying to sell, because it wasn't promoting itself as comedic or having these little miniature, like basically like a stuffy character, or I was like, all right, I'll still watch it because there's still moments that work. I'm not saying the whole thing is garbage at all, but it's like, Orko was for me, like, I had an idea of, oh, maybe he could do this in my story, and then I was like, oh no, I'm holding my line against Orko on this one. Like, I want it to feel more mini comic.
See, and I was the opposite. I was collecting the toys before the Filmation series aired. I sent Jesse a picture of me doing that, but I never read the mini comics. I opened up the toy and I wanted to play with the toy. I grabbed the mini. I'm like, what is this, homework? Get this shit out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not reading this shit. Like, So, and I would just play with the toys. So when the Filmation series came out, like, that was my He-Man. But I don't shit on people that, like the mini comics. That's great, but the problem, to your point, is that if you were to be involved in this, there's just going to be a spew of hatred no matter what you come up with. You could have the best intentions in the world, but it's not going to make it for somebody. And, that's why I was thinking along the lines of like the MCU, because just recently, some of the most recent movies in Phase 4, you've started to get some of the comic book guys coming out and go, man, I really wish they would have done this, that, or the other that was in the comics. But in Phase 1, 2, and 3, you didn't hear a bunch of people complaining, hey, I don't like their take on this story or that story. Like, people were just appreciating the great movies. And that's what I wish that we had for Motu. I wish that we had a bunch of, it wasn't all He-Man tales. I wish it was these side stories that we got throughout the Filmation series, to where we really develop and go after and look at these other characters. And people could just appreciate it for what it is, rather than being mad because it's not what they want it to be. So,
no, I completely agree with you, Curtis. That's something we've done. Shawn and I, we've done our B team storyline before, and how we wish that they would branch out and just follow. We've thrown out comic miniseries, an issue that follows Stratos and Mechanic, and then one that follows Buzz Off and Ram Man, just stories.
Yeah, like they do like Winter Soldier was like a spy thriller, and then you do this movie that's more of a comedy, right. And like you could do a Malektha story that's like an Indiana Jones, like he was the architect or the archaeologist in Eternia. Like, imagine the different things that he could find and go on those kind of Indiana Jones type adventures and make that a Motu storyline. Like, that would be great.
Well, that could be a cool story. Just that could be like a race against time, because there's Matt was saying, the MacGuffin, and the idea that you have Malektha being there and going, Skeletor's chasing these, and he starts pointing on the map all these different things, and him going, I think I know where the next one is, and He-Man going, then go. And then Malektha's, it's Malektha's journey.
Dun, dun, dun,
exactly.
Dun, dun. You see a little Wind Raider going across the map.
The Wind Raider going across. We travel by map.
It's a good thing Steven wasn't here for our casting choices.
Yeah.
Speaking of angry Motu fans,
well, I think it would be great if they did a movie like that, and you didn't even know it was going to be a Motu movie until the very end. Like you just went, they advertised it as a, like an Indiana Jones type movie or whatever, and you went and watched it, and then at the end it was like, oh shit, this is on Eternia. Like this is, and that, I think that would be cool now in this day and age. Keeping a spoiler like that secret would be damn near impossible, but
I think
that would be great.
A good way to do that is you do what the MCU is doing. You do a show with some smaller characters, set up that it's going to become Eternia and Masters of the Universe, and then launch a movie, and then you get like a couple seasons of show, and then another movie. You let the movies be the big spectacles. That still stand alone, but then you have like the smaller characters and stuff in the shows, fleshing out the world.
And this is why your first movie needs to just set up the basics. Because when you're going, I liked Revelation. I love CGI and everything. But like when you're, Eternity War is another one. I love that comic. I think it's the best He-Man comic ever. But when you're always going to 11, when it's always the end of everything, when it's always the apocalypse, when everybody's dying, like there's no place to go afterwards. Yeah. Because you've wrapped everything up or you've killed them off. So that's why you need to let this breathe, and you need to be thinking the long game instead of just always, let's do the end of everything.
That's
Everybody
why,
finds out everything. Everything's done.
I went back and I've been watching the old Daredevil Netflix series. And like, to me, it's nice to watch a superhero story that it's not the end of the world. Like he's just fighting for his neighborhood. Like this is just like, this guy is just going out there and trying to keep his neighborhood safe. And those things are important too. So
you send Fisto and Ram Man to chase, marauders in the forest. Like, I watched the crap out of that.
Yeah, even like The Witcher. I mean, it's like the episodicness of, on this episode, here's introduction of Trapjaw, and boom, you have to go up against him. Then the next episode, introduction of this villain or whatever, and that could be interesting. And I'll give praise to Curtis's idea that would be a heck of a Infinity War vibe to a Masters of the Universe culmination of movies. And it actually, in my opinion, it was a better take. It had a feeling in it of the multiverse one that we just, the mini series with the Anti-Eternia, but it actually worked to me better than what they did in that story for a lot of different reasons. And I do like the idea that, He-Man being on Eternia with Grayskull, that matters, because the idea of He-Man just whipping the sword out on Earth and do it by the power of Grayskull does not make sense, because how is that going to happen? It's from the center of the universe all the way to the point farthest from, maybe, like how long is that UPS truck going until he finally hits the power sword?
I'll admit though that was just a storyline plot so that I could get him in the Wondar armor. So
and I'm cool with that, because Wondar is one of my favorite deep cuts ever of Masters of the Universe. And I've said it before on our show, if I would have had that figure, I would have used him as my He-Man because he was dark haired. And before I did this, I had dark hair. That would have been awesome, It's like, he's me. I'm He-Man.
But there is definitely some in canon precedent for that. When he went to Trolla for the first time, it took him a while to figure out how to transform. When the Crystal Castle is definitely tied into them being able to transform on Etheria. You got to have that conduit. So I mean, there's I can go with it. I like that kind of stuff. It's the Superman going to a solar system with a red sun. It gives your hero limits. When you have these guys that can do everything, they're this powerful. You need to still have some limits there, or else then you just get bored, especially in the modern movies. You got to have. I don't need him filmation powered. I just need him to be the most powerful man in the universe.
I always like the Trolla episode where it's like Orko all of a sudden his magic works and everything's great and he's amazing. And it's like sometimes You know, it's you don't have bad magic. You're just out of your element. You know,
Exactly.
So,
Yep.
yeah, good
Well,
stuff.
I think I would watch every single one of these movies or shows. So, yeah, I think there's a lot. I'm not as involved in the Motu community, and I pretty much stay out of a lot of the other nerd communities except for Mythic Legion stuff. And, you know, with the YouTube and the streaming and all the folks that I've gotten to know through all this, but which has been really supportive and encouraging for the most part. But like, yeah, I think the only way to make those places better is to overpower the negativity with the positivity, and I think that's something the Cabal and Mythic Legions is about, with that support and everything, to where whoever said we're not going to get a movie that's going to please everybody, but just make a good movie,
right?
Well, and that's the one thing I would say for you know, I give these two shit about, you know, being POTU 2.0. But whether it's listening to Legends of Grayskull or you know, Podcasts of the Universe, the good thing about both of those podcasts for me is that they don't shit on anybody's views of what Masters of the Universe should be or what it means to them. So that's great. So, you know, can't really control what all these people put on Facebook, but as far as the, you know, the couple, you know, podcasts that are very popular that I know people listen to, they are overwhelmingly positive. So that's good.
Well,
and
you know,
there's a story for everyone. Why,
yeah,
you know, just because, and for me and Shawn, our base version is not the same. You know,
yeah,
we go different places all the time. So, real quick, just one question, Jesse, if you don't mind. In your guys's, because we're all obviously looking at the trilogy, the universe, everything else. Would you have a She-Ra in your universe?
At some point, yes.
I would.
How and why? It would definitely have to fit in whatever new version of the world.
We could go a whole nother rabbit hole with that. Just
I like that character in general.
I love She-Ra.
So yeah.
For me, it's, you know, being born later than all you old guys. Like, it's always been He-Man and She-Ra. So
you're like 5 months younger than us. What are you talking about?
I definitely would have Adora showing up.
I would. I think, to Jesse's point, it'd probably be later. Like,
yeah. Oh, for sure.
If you look how they built like the MCU, like when the first Iron Man movie came out, they didn't have to throw Hulk and Captain America and all these other folks in there. You know, they're big characters, but they didn't have to put them in there. You slow roll all that stuff. So, you know, your Man at Arms, your Tila, you know, even King Randor and Milan and stuff. Like, I feel like all that can be introduced as you go down, you know, throughout the movies. So,
well, I just figured my She-Ra out. I'll throw that out there real quick if that's all right.
Have at it.
She's the daughter of Adam and Tila.
That's actually was a rumor for 2000X. They were talking about going down that road,
and she ends up get taken to the world where Hordak is, and she eventually learns her heritage and summons that there to help. And then that would be something. And then the final story would be Eternia and them coming together. Like the heroes of both worlds coming together, fight off Hordak and Skeletor.
For sure. Battle. Yeah, for me, if they did a retired, would deal with all that.
They did a movie of that right now with a retired from action King He-Man, played by Dolph Lundgren, but the main character of the movie was She-Ra. I'd watch that right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'd watch anything.
That's true.
I'm a Motu cuck, so you know. Yeah. Shawn, She-Ra, yay or nay? You've been quite silent over
there. My biggest hang up on She-Ra to this day is always going to be, it bugged me that they had to do the twin sister thing, because Star Wars did it first, and it wasn't that long after Jedi that we got that from He-Man, and I just felt that was odd. It just, like, even as a kid, I was like, this feels too Star Wars, you know, in that way, because I knew about Return of the Jedi, and my mom was a big Star Wars fan. If She-Ra was somebody that was not related to him, it might be more interesting to me, I think. and that's pretty much my biggest hang up about her. But if they did something where through what it's okay. So it's very similar to me in the same way as Endgame.
Yeah.
You have He-Man on the ropes trying to fight Hordak. Let's just go there. Let's just say He-Man's on the ropes. Hordak is going to actually use his staff and behead He-Man in this moment. And then all of a sudden, you just see the power sword lifting off the ground, and you're like, what the hell is going on? And then all of a sudden, you hear somebody else say, by the power of, and then the lightning hits. And then there's this woman standing there, and him just going like, holy, like He-Man's even like, what the just happened, and have that be something. And it could, honestly, I'd be cool with it being the whole Despara idea. She is just somebody who she is kind of like the Hitler's youth on Etheria, where she is just programmed that Hordak is this person. All hail Hordak, whatever.
Yeah, no, for
and
sure.
her coming to Eternia, he's trying to fight against her. And then at the same time, have it be something where that's the moment where she's like, I'm done with Hordak, and she does that kind of a moment or whatever. I'm not saying it has to be a legit end game, but that's where my mind went to, at least in the
No, I'm with you and that's doing Adora She-Ra. I still want them to be brother and sister, just because that's like ingrained to me. It'd be like if you do Supergirl, but she's not Superman's cousin. Like that, it just would feel wrong to me. But I really want them to play up that angle, and like She-Ra's storyline is then different. Like He-Man's, he's the protector of Eternia, but She-Ra's got this darker path, and she's got this darker history that she has to overcome, and she's got her own personal demons. And I want them to do it where Adora did some terrible things in the service of Hordak. Of course, she survived under him for 18 plus years. Like, she did bad stuff. She's got to atone for that now. And she's got her own demons to fight through. So it gives you, to me, that's what makes it interesting to me, is you can go a whole different angle. Same power set, but like just exploring that personal struggle to atone and to do good now, knowing what she's done and who she's been. Like that. Well, that's a trilogy for herself.
Absolutely. And the thing is, like,
night, Steven. Hug your He-Man tight.
Okay. Something about that I was just thinking that would be really, really compelling to me is she turns into She-Ra for the first time. Like, we saw that in Secret of the Sword, and she did it because He-Man is about dead, and it's my brother and all that stuff. But I almost like the idea that when she turns, there's almost like the power of Grayskull and Shadow Weaver's influence on her are actually fighting her during the transformation for the first time. You're seeing a struggle in there of what's about to win, and it's just narrowly that Grayskull pulls it out. And then when she manages to turn back into Adora for the first time, she's in tears and screaming, and it's because she knows what she's done, and Shadow Weaver's thrall on her is gone, and she's like, I like, how do I do this? And He-Man doing the whole together, like Cap would say, and then that would be him and taking her to the sorceress and helping her. It's like, those are things, and that's part of my problem with She-Ra. But let me just say that this is part of my problem with She-Ra is they never addressed it in those ways on that show, even though what she was doing.
Filmation.
But they could have done it even just a little. Like when she goes, I'm part of the rebellion now. And I'm like, oh, for the love. And they all like, yeah. And I'm like, really? Like, it's that easy? I could be Hordak and go, I'm one of you now. And everybody's happy, like, I'm still going to kill you, but I'm one of you, or whatever. It just felt like that.
And they even played up with it in Eternity War a little bit where, like, she was freed from the Horde, and then down the road, she finally became She-Ra. Like, I could even see her holding aloft the sword the first time and not being able to transform. Like, she knows what she has to do, but her mind's not there yet. Because this power is not going to go into just anybody. I mean, that's regardless of what some iterations have done.
Guess it depends on how much mayo you have.
Oh, come on now.
I have not mentioned that on air. I don't think at all.
I know.
Yet. That's you.
That's why I had
good.
I had to bring it up so I could interject. And 15 minutes, folks, and then your pre-order window closes from the Horseman. Yes, I'm being that guy right now. I don't do this a lot, but get your pre-order. You got 15 minutes. Stefan Delator, if you're still watching, I know with the last pre-order, you literally waited until the last second. So YouTube will play on your phone or whatever while you're doing your order. If you're still watching, you can, or just leave the show and come back later. But
that would give me way too much anxiety.
Well, while Jesse shills for Mythic Legions, I will just throw out there, my problem with the whole twin sister thing was just always like nobody was looking for Adora. Like there was no like she gets taken as a baby and then like there's nobody cares. Like there's no. They're not sending the Eternian army trying to find where she is and what happened. That was the
Sleeping
big
Beauty
issue I had.
Yeah,
like the whole kingdom does not remember that this daughter happened, but we have the son. We're good to go.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to interject here. We can keep this Motu focused if you want, but
we'd go all night. So go on to something else.
Well, we are going on to something else, but you can keep your answers based in Motu if you want. But if you do, you all have to stick with it. We're doing a Mad Lib.
Hold on. Are we skipping the DC thing? Because I want to make sure we get to that tonight too.
Oh man,
what are we doing?
I mean, depends on how late these guys want to stay up. But yeah, we'll get to the DC thing.
We got to get to the DC thing. But okay, go ahead.
All right, All right. So if you want it, do you want to keep it Motu centric or not?
I don't care. Whatever.
Let's finish.
Do we have to decide now, or we just roll with it?
I'm going to ask you for words, and then I'll read the Mad Lib.
Okay.
So, all right, we'll go. We'll start with Curtis, Shawn, Duch. So first one's an adjective.
I read.
No.
Okay.
I don't want to get the channel canceled.
I don't know. I got nothing, man.
Something that's not a color. An adjective that's not a color.
I don't know. I've got nothing.
Shawn, adjective.
Let's see. Adjective. Tiny.
That's a good one.
Okay. Curtis, we'll run back to you since you passed. Part of the body.
Oh boy.
Finger.
I get that one.
Okay. Duch, noun.
Now's your chance to say Tila.
Huh? No, not a proper noun. Just a noun.
Bedroom.
Huh?
Bedroom.
Bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. Curtis, if you can handle it, another adjective.
We'll say big.
Okay.
No.
Part of the body. Shawn.
Part of the body.
A lot of body parts here.
Nose.
Duch, body part.
Ooh. What were the first two body parts? Nose?
Finger and nose.
All right. So
that's a great story right there. I mean,
I got to go juvenile. Anus.
Beautiful.
Yes, beautiful anus.
I want red back.
I'm gonna ask the chat. I'm gonna ask the chat for a celebrity male name. The first one I see, the first one Curtis pulls up, I'll use. Another adjective. We'll just go free for all. Someone give me an adjective.
Can I say a color now, or is it still not acceptable?
Yeah, sure.
Red.
Okay. Another part of the body.
Belly.
What was that, Shawn?
Ankle.
Ankle.
A lot of body parts.
Type of food.
Yeah.
Pizza.
Oh, that was your Mayo spot right there.
I told him I wouldn't do it.
I'm a man of
Um,
my word.
Actually, I'll need 2 celebrity male. So anyone still watching, 2 celebrity male names. It doesn't have to be actor, any sort of celebrity. Noun.
Is it back to me?
Whoever.
Chair.
Another part of the body.
Hold on, we've got a celebrity, Antonio Banderas.
Okay.
We got
there we go.
Dolph Lundgren too there with
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, and Dolph Lundgren.
Okay.
So there's your celebrities.
All right.
And then what are you on for, Shawn?
Part of the
Part
body.
of the body.
good lord.
Ear.
Ear.
Yeah, ear.
Okay. Plural noun.
He's gonna say anuses.
I did think that. I
Nice.
already used it though.
Plural noun, not
Tuberculi.
that is not a
Oh.
that is okay.
I don't know what the plural of tuberculi is. Is it
I thought
tuberculous?
tuberculi
was the
is-
plural.
the plural.
Yeah, thank you. I'll take my apology.
Tubercules.
Another part of the body.
Foreskin.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
PG-13 out the window.
Plural noun.
Plural noun. Kittens.
Kitten.
With
Kittens.
an S.
Like
And
baby cats.
Yeah,
Mhm.
baby cats. Kittens.
Okay. And the last word is adjective.
Shiny.
Okay.
Oh boy.
The perfect specimen. The key to the tiny man is his finger.
Truth.
Without it, he's just another unemployed bedroom. He should have a big mind,
Ah.
broad nose,
Mm.
athletic anus, red eyes,
Absolutely.
and a thick ankle. A mouth as juicy as a pizza.
100%.
He should also have style as hip as Antonio Banderas, a sense of humor as sharp as a chair, and an ear that's not bigger than yours. Hands as big as tuberculi, and a foreskin that goes on forever.
Yes. That is the perfect specimen right there.
But under no circumstances should he ever be unkind to 4-legged kittens or be impolite to your shiny mother. Really, you're just looking for a dead ringer for Dolph Lundgren. Is that too much to ask?
You
man,
nailed it.
I think you just described Stephen Bisciotti.
Oh.
All right. Well,
So now,
All right.
what DC hell has Curtis planned for us?
Oh, I think I brought
go,
this up.
go ahead, Jesse.
Or maybe not.
I think it was Shawn. Maybe that's where I got the idea for the DC. And I mentioned it to Curtis, and Curtis was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, let's do it.
The state of the DC universe. I want your guys' take on what's going on.
Is there a DC universe right now? Or are they just throwing a bunch of random spaghetti against the wall and hoping something eventually drips down and makes them money?
I thought the spaghetti was supposed to stick.
But it's not.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the
No,
problem.
that perfectly explains the situation, I think.
Right. I don't know. DC doesn't know what they're doing. They are so worried about trying to be the MCU that they're completely failing to do anything with their own properties. Besides Shazam. Shazam was awesome. And I'm looking forward to Shazam 2. Beyond that, like, I have no feelings about anything, really.
Okay.
I 100% agree with douche, and I'm going to actually take it a step further and say that I think that DC's been trying to be Marvel since the late 80s. I think in the early 80s, when I was a kid reading DC comics, like that was the Boy Scout comics. Like it was very clear who were the good guys, who were the bad guys. There was no shades of gray. Then all of a sudden, they took Batman from this, holy gee whiz, Batman, all that kind of stuff to, you bring in Tim Burton, you make Batman dark and gritty, and you try to make it scary. And every Batman movie after that has been darker. Then you do the same, you give the same treatment to your other movies. And I just feel like they have tried to make their characters more relatable and make them, have these shades of gray when that's never what they were.
No.
And, they saw the success that Marvel was having in the comic industry. And I think they tried to do that with their movies early on, and they're still trying to do it today. I want a wholesome Superman movie. I want a Christopher Reeves-esque Superman, good guy, Boy Scout movie. I don't want a Superman killing Zod and, trying to make his outfit all dark and this, and make it bright blue, make it stand out, make them good guys, make them bad guys. I think it would be fun, but and then you bring in James Gunn, and I get if you're going to tear it all down and start from scratch. If that's what you want to do, if you feel like that it's in such disarray that you've got to start over, that's cool. But if you get rid of parts that are working, like you get rid of Henry Cavill when clearly he's a great Superman, but then you're going to keep Ezra Miller as the Flash, like then that makes me question, what the hell are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You're going to get rid of everything that you did with Justice League, but you're going to keep this Suicide Squad stuff. Like, either start over or don't start over. But what are you doing right now? I don't get it. I'm at a loss. And as a DC fan growing up, it makes me sad.
Agreed. And before, I know Shawn's got some opinions, so real quick before he goes, I don't even try and start it over. Just, in my opinion, try to make a good movie and then try to make another good movie. And then maybe after 3 good movies, maybe then we can start talking about, hey, what's a bigger picture? But until you can make a good Batman, a good Superman, why even bother with the other stuff? So just focus on that. And it's not that I dislike James Gunn. I don't know what he's necessarily done to warrant, you're the guy who knows how to shepherd us into the DC, cinematic universe. Yes, I've enjoyed his movies, but I've never seen him. I don't know enough about him. Maybe he has this huge fanboy DC background, but I mean, and for me growing up, Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and all those guys, they created the perfect DC universe with Batman, Superman, Justice League Unlimited. So for me, it's hard for anybody to top that because they got those characters. Like you said, Curtis, these guys with DC, they are archetypes. You give them gray and they just look stupid. They are the good guys and they need to be that way.
Yeah, just a tag on there. And I know, I don't know how many of our listeners are sports guys, but it's kind of like in football, sometimes they'll take an offensive coordinator that's very successful and they'll make him into a head coach. And it just doesn't work out because that person is great at designing plays and drawing them up and calling plays, but maybe they're not good at working with an overall staff and people and managing them and the morale things that come with it. And I think with the James Gunn thing, to your point, it feels the same way to me. It's like, yeah, you're a great director and you've done these things, but what makes me think that you can be the guy to watch over all of this and do all of this? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where that confidence in him comes from, but we'll see.
I'm not going to give my whole opinion, but just with James Gunn, his last two things he did for them were very successful.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
And DC Warner Brothers, that whole unit, I'm not saying I have any insight. I have no information. I don't know how it works as a business, but watching them over the years, they're very knee-jerk reaction. They just, this didn't work. All right, so that's gone. Well, this worked. It's just like you were saying. They threw the spaghetti against the wall and we're hoping for orange juice.
Yeah,
but
I think Curtis nailed it with that sports analogy. As a diehard Bears fan, I completely feel.
But let's say I do a couple really good paint jobs in a row.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to translate and I can now sculpt my own 3D parts.
Right.
No.
There's two different things.
I'm just saying I don't think it's James Gunn. Like, I think that's DC Warner Brothers or Warner Discovery, whatever it's called, picking him. Like, you did some successful stuff for us. You made this work where no one else could. So we're going to go with you. You do whatever you want or however that works. I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
I didn't know how they were going to make Peacemaker work. And I love that movie. I love that show.
Oh, that's true. That is a great show. I take that back. I do want more Peacemaker.
Yeah, so good.
So he seems like someone who, he's very good at telling stories about characters. Like, maybe he's not the guy to do the whole universe, but maybe he can get it started and step back, and other people can come in. I don't know.
This stuff is lighthearted and fun. So, and they definitely need more of that. But I am very interested to hear what Shawn's take is, because I know, like myself, he's a Superman fan. So I want to hear what he has to say.
So, I grew up with the Chris Reeve Superman movies, and that's been my blueprint of how Superman should be. And then you add in there like the Max Fleischer Superman serials from back in the day, and that's kind of like my happy spot with Superman for the most part. And add in Birthright on top of that too, I guess. But I never thought I would see the day that there is a rated R Superman movie before Batman v Superman hit, and they did that extended cut with the rated R and all that crap. And even Man of Steel, like, I was going into it after that preview, I was like, holy crap, slice of Americana Superman. Like, and they had so many of those visuals that Zack Snyder is known for really punching this up as we're really going to sell you Superman in the modern age, you know? So I'm just like, holy crap. And I'm in my head, I'm like, ooh, how can they, these little moments in the trailer, what are they going to add up to in the film? Am I going to be like shearing my head off when he goes into battle and for the first time and all that? And then all of a sudden I'm sitting in the theater, and I remember watching it on opening day with my mom and my wife on either side of me. And the minute that he snapped Zod's neck, I actually went, holy shit, he went there. Like, I just could not believe that there is a Superman movie where he couldn't resort to any other option than killing the villain for the first time. Like, I know they've had stories in the past in comics where he's had to go there and that's the only option he has. But to do that on your first outing for a character that is truth, justice, the American way, if you want to go there, it's like, you can't build from that for me. You just can't, because then the argument that Zack Snyder said was, well, this is how he establishes a no-kill code. And it's like, you established that by knowing that you shouldn't do it to begin with. And you established it by not being that guy. And you established it by proving to other characters, like, maybe if Batman is to the point where he's ready to kill the Joker, you like, Bruce, there's always another way. There's hope, you know? And Superman, the first word that comes to my head with Superman is hope. And I never got that from any version of Superman in these movies. And everybody would love to say that. They'd love to say, oh, well, he made us want to be the best of us. He was this, he was that. And I'm watching these movies going, show me where this was. Don't give me the lip service. Show me in a movie where those moments were. Superman pulling that boat, that cruise liner, he looked like he was literally pissed off that he had to do that day. All those people holding out their hands to him when he's in the middle of that crowd during the Day of the Dead, I think it was. And he's not looking at them, he's looking up. And, you know, and even like when the courthouse or the Senate blows up or whatever, the first thing he does is fly away. And he just looks like, oh shit, I'm like Charlie Brown and my kite got stuck in the tree. I'm gonna go home. And he flies off. You've never shown me any ounce of that in these movies.
Yeah,
And
there's no heart. Yeah.
to build any universe with that being how your core hopeful character should be, it's you're building on sand as far as I can tell. Wonder Woman in the No Man's Land sequence proved more hope, heart, and strength and courage than anything Superman did in any of his movies. Superman did what he was told by the script. He did not do it because it was the right thing to do. And I mean, for the love of God, John Kent could have been saved if it was the right thing to do to just freaking run out there with your super speed or fly out there quick, grab them and bring them in instead of it just gets sucked away by the tornado and all that stuff. So yeah, that version, like Henry Cavill, to me, he should be filing charges against Warner Brothers for the crime that is never being able to be the right Superman. The poor guy came into a production that it had an agenda, and Snyder had this agenda to deconstruct the character, and that's a character you don't want to do that with. You can do it with Batman. You can do it with some of the other characters that are more relatable and less a symbol the way that Superman is, in my opinion. It's almost I don't mean to take it in a religious state, but it's almost like Zack Snyder doing like the Passion of the Christ and deciding that Superman and now Jesus is going to kill the Romans or whatever. You know, like it's like this doesn't work. This like what are you doing?
I think you can deconstruct the character, do something different if you do something that's a standalone thing like Red Sun.
Right.
Sure.
Not your main version of him for the established universe.
I completely and to start whatever they wanted to do with this off on that footing. Mm-hmm. And then it just anybody who's all about the Snyderverse, I'm like, why do you like this so much? I don't get it. You want everything to happen. Like every movie has to now be the next event. And it's not trying to tell a story that makes you interested in the next thing. You're always getting these visuals like the whole Batman and Joker teaming up at the end of the Justice League. It's like, I have no interest in that movie. You want something that's going to give me less interest to sit in the theater? Show me that movie, you know?
I'm going to double down on my theory that whole nightmare sequence exists because Warner Brothers wanted a DC Mad Max.
And it makes sense, but it's like my biggest...
No, I was just going to say, and from what I hear, that kind of follows that whole, what was it, the Batman Who Laughs or something? Like, there was some tie into that too, wasn't there? Like that,
but that didn't exist when they created that nightmare sequence.
It didn't. I don't know. No. It feels like McFarlane's been pumping out those toys for like 20 years now. So I mean, it's been everywhere. But
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Batman Who Laughs from the Metal series or whatever.
That's what it is. The Dark Metal or something.
I don't think that character was introduced by the time that first Justice League movie was being made. Maybe for the recuts in the extended cut, but yeah.
That's that thing. You never knew where this whole thing was going. You kill off you deconstruct your Superman, then you kill him off in his second outing, and no one gives a shit yet. It's what we were just saying about our proposed Masters movies.
Yeah.
You have to go somewhere first. You have to make people care about these characters. If you just, this is our first movie, it's the end of everything. Like, this is our second movie, Superman's dead.
Yeah.
Well, we don't care.
Well,
he hasn't done anything yet. He's not the Boy Scout. He's not the pinnacle of DC superhero-dom. Like, no one gives a shit.
I think I got to throw something out there real quick because Superman 2 was always like, to me, it's like the best Superman movie that there is. And when he's watching them, like they're setting the bus on fire and doing all this stuff, and he's like shouting, like, think of all the people, like that is Superman. Like, he is worried about everybody else, and the collateral damage is a thing, and he's willing to fly off and have them find his fortress of solitude and give himself up to them to stop the carnage that's happening. Like that's a lot of heart. I think if you were to take that same movie and put Cavill in that script, kills it. And I think it would have been amazing. So
Well, I know Shawn and we've discussed before, even just taking Man of Steel as it is, but like when you have those big battle scenes, instead of Superman just like going toe to toe, if it's like Zod doing stuff and Superman reacting, trying to like hold a building up long enough for all the people to get out, or you know, just catching people, say like just doing the battle scenes that way, and that's why he can't win against Zod, because he's too busy trying to help everybody.
Yeah, help somebody up, shield somebody.
Right,
Like we were talking about with He-Man before, like the safe place is behind me. That kind of stuff. Yeah.
It's the same movie, but just given Superman's motivation to be protecting and saving and his humanity, like, and it changes so much.
Can we not have him learning to fly like that at that point in his life? Like that sequence always, like I liked seeing him struggle with how to do it, but at that point in his life.
Well, one of these days I am going to, and I'm sure Curtis will say I'm not listening to this, but that's okay. I am going to do a video or something to detail how Man of Steel could have worked if they would have tweaked some aspects of it, because like there's no way, like even if I have powers like Superman, and if there's some general from an alien planet who's coming here and flat out doing what he's doing, I would want to fight the guy. It's like, I don't know how to do that. This is something above and beyond, because like Smallville did that really well, where it's the whole, I don't like the fact that I can do things that other people can't. This is freaking me out, and that's why he never flew for how many seasons. It was he was scared to death that was the one thing that was keeping him from being human on Earth and fitting in. And like for me, that was one of those moments in the trailer. Like I said, the trailer built it up in a one way that made me get excited. And in my head, the trailer was like, he goes to the fortress in the Arctic or whatever, and he's getting information there to figure out what the hell is happening and who's this guy that's attacking the planet. Because I'm like, Zod as a first villain, that's an interesting thing. That's a more action-based movie than having Lex Luthor, no matter what. Because Lex Luthor could maybe have like a suit he goes up against them with, but it's mostly mental with him. But you get Zod and you get an action movie, and that's cool, but he needs to have some leg to stand on to fight against Zod. So he goes to the fortress, he's getting the information, didn't know it would be from his father, but okay, he's getting it from Russell Crowe or whatever. And then he gets the suit on, and it's the idea he needs to be something to draw Zod away from the collateral damage. And it would be the first time where he gets it right to fly in. And it would be like when he flies in, one of the moments that made me so depressed watching Man of Steel was when people are looking up and they look scared out of their freaking minds. Like, what building's going to drop on us next? And it's the idea of, if he shows up, if Superman shows up, yes, he has powers. But the minute that the people on the ground automatically start seeing him actually pushing a building back from falling on somebody or getting people out of the way, and he's smiling at them going, I got you, and it's the whole Christopher Reeve, who are you? A friend, and having that, you automatically get me rooting for that guy, because that is the whole point.
But I think that just having that action-packed, super-powered villain for the first movie is a bad step right from the get-go. I feel like
I agree.
They were trying to go 0 to 90, and if you go back to like the Chris Reeve Superman, the first movie, I mean, he's stopping bank robbers, and he's catching helicopters, and he's saving Lois Lane, and he's upset when Lois is dead, and he's got to spin around the earth, as silly as that is, to try to turn it back. And it's a silly sequence, but it's like the whole first movie is about building up who this character is and how important. He's not from this planet, but these people are important to him, and it's building that up. And then you take the second movie, and it's like, okay, now here are these Kryptonians, and they want you to side with them because they're from the same planet as you, and they want to take over this and that. But he's so ingrained at this point with taking care of these people, and he is part of this planet now, that that's not going to happen. When you start off with those guys, like it's really hard to do that and effectively when you haven't built that into who his character is. So
absolutely.
And
I don't know that you could have saved Man of Steel just based on the premise that you're going to start off with Zod in them. I don't know. I think it's too short of a runway to get it off the ground.
Especially for a character like he is in that movie, where he has not been taught to embrace his abilities, and he's not Superman yet. But I think you were talking about like how Superman, that first movie was getting to know the character and how he relates to people. I do think, again, I'm not saying he's perfect, but I think that's something James Gunn gets. I think that's something he knows. It's like I said, Peacemaker. John Cena did a great job in that movie making me hate him in the Suicide Squad. I was like, why would I want to watch a show about this douchebag? Like, he's such... How are they going to make me care? And they did. Like that whole thing where they build up that whole thing, like the stuff with his dad, and he's just kind of an idiot and he doesn't get how wrong this stuff is, and then the whole like past trauma with his brother and everything. Like they did a really good job of that, and I think I think James Gunn can handle that. It just depends if DC, Warner Brothers, Discovery, if they let him.
Well, same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy too. I mean, when they announced that movie, I'm like, I'd never heard of Guardians of the Galaxy. Not only have I not read the comics, but I had never heard of them at that point. I'm like, who the hell are these guys, and why would anybody want to watch this movie? And then you start watching this movie, and you care about every one of them. Like they're unique characters, and there is comedy to it, and obviously there's the great music, which is one of his trademarks and stuff. But you care about each one of these characters. So yeah, he is good at making those, characters to where you care about it. I'm just interested to see if he can do it in an overarching, over all of these movies versus just directing a single film. So we'll see. We'll see. But
like I said, one of the things that helps give me hope is the way he did Suicide Squad into Peacemaker. It took a movie, established a real scumbag character, and then over 8 episodes fleshed him out and made him a real person. Now he still has a ways to go, but I guarantee you people are going to be crying by the end of Guardians 3.
Oh yeah.
I think people are going to be crying over a dead raccoon by the time that movie is over.
Yeah.
No.
The thing,
I think so.
Guardians 2, whenever I see Guardians 2 come on, the Yondu funeral scene, I fucking bawl like a baby. And I'm not afraid to tell anybody that, but that music comes on, and like, he's and Rocket's talking about how he was a jerk, but they still showed up, and then Star-Lord's like, yeah, because they're family, and he's like petting his head. I'm like, fucking done. I'm
Well, that moment in that movie, and when Aragorn tells the hobbits, "No one bows to you, my friends," at the end of Return of the King, no other moments get me that much in a movie, even though I know it's coming, like those two do.
Oh yeah.
The thing, like Guardians, what was funny was that movie was the year after Man of Steel, and with how, and I know people label it as destruction porn, but that's the third act of Man of Steel being what it was. And then you're watching Guardians of the Galaxy, and here's freaking Rocket flying around trying to protect everybody on the ground when they're being under attack, and it ends up like 2 of the people in the crowd end up being John C. Reilly's wife and daughter at the end of the movie. And it's like, and Rocket's like, whatever you do, aim for the sky. It's coming from the sky. It's like, this is Superman. This is what I needed out of Man of Steel a year ago, and you're giving it to me with a freaking raccoon doing this. And then on top of it, that ending with the Yondu bit was one of the most, like, I don't think I've had that much of a sob ever, because of it's a father and son theme there, and that always gets me. And the fact that Superman is about fathers and sons at the end of the day, that for me has hope of they're going to do some stuff that's probably some heavy emotional lifting, because not only it's like he loses his biological father by getting flown off of Krypton, but he also loses his Earth father and he couldn't do anything to stop that. And that is the thing. It should not be a freaking tornado. It should be something just as simple as he has a heart attack and Clark does not have the ability to stop that for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's the whole, there are going to be limits to what you can do. There are going to be situations that you can't win, but show them in that way. Don't show them where you have to kill the villain at the end of the movie, you know?
Well, I think James Gunn will, if he can do that with a character like Yondu and Peter in the
Absolutely.
Guardians, where they're at such odds, even though obviously the way they showed stuff in the holiday special, you know, that there's definitely a love. If he can do that with those characters, how much stronger do you think that relationship's going to be if they can play into a Jonathan Kent who loves and adores his son, kind of like they did on Smallville. I love the relationship with him and his parents on Smallville in the first couple seasons.
So good.
That was one of the, I mean, that made Jonathan Kent one of the best characters, especially like John Schneider just blew that thing out of the park for me because, and I still got to give props for the fact that on the final episode of that show, it's him giving the suit to Clark and basically saying, it's time. You know, you're an adult now. Do this. You know you can do it. And it's like he never once told Clark not to do it. He was always more of a be careful. You don't know how far you can do this. You don't know this. And it was more of a I don't want you to not be who you are, but I also don't want you to not come home as my son ever again, too.
Mhm.
Whereas Kevin Costner, Jonathan Kent was flat out like, you're not doing shit because I want you to always be home. And if those kids are going to die, then you let them die. I don't give a damn. And it's like, no, that's horrible. Like,
Right.
Just real quick, if my kids were in a situation where they could save somebody's life, you damn well right, I'm going to give them a hug and go like, you did something awesome. You saved those kids. I wouldn't be treating him that way in any way, shape, or form. That was like, what kind of a freaking parent are you? You know, like, that's
I
ridiculous.
I like that dynamic, but not for Jonathan and Clark.
Right.
No.
I think that's an interesting thing with the parent is struggling with what their kid can do. I like that concept. And that's a different movie. That's a different character. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
I think if you want to set Superman now, Jonathan in Smallville was a great modern, albeit simplified because it was a TV show serial, you know, but it was a nice modern update to the classic farm family. He was still living in the current world. I don't feel like Kevin Costner, I think he acted great, but the way they wrote that Jonathan, Clark or Jonathan and Martha in this day and age, if they were able to somehow fake adopting this kid or that it was theirs, you know, with all the way records work nowadays, Jonathan, when he would start realizing this, he would have figured out a way. If he's got a huge farm, he'd be like, all right, Clark, throw this baseball. Like he would basically doing like a training montage with him as he's developing these skills and teaching him how and when to do it, not just be like, nope. Like, I don't know. I've had friends who have farms and, you know, they're like, let's see if this works, you know, like,
Yeah.
You know? I don't know that you need to modernize it. I don't know that you need to take it in today's world. Like, I actually saw, I think it was this past week, where somebody had taken the original Tim Burton Batman, the '89 movie, and they like put it in black and white and kind of, they redid it to where it looked like it was from like the 50s. And like the outfits and stuff, like I've never picked up on it that it looks like that. Oh. And it really worked. Like, and they cut it like it was a whole different film, like it was set in the 50s. I think that, you know, based on, you know, what we talked about earlier, as far as the, you know, eliminating the gray area and it's all, you know, kind of black and white and you're good guys and bad guys, I think you could do it like in an older setting and make it work. And I think it would probably be a lot more palatable than, you know, trying to put them in this day and age and dealing with, you know, some of the stuff that we deal with on a daily basis. Like it's just hard to relate to those characters.
Shawn's heard me say this multiple times.
I know where he's going automatically. Yeah.
That New Frontier is my favorite DC story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that time period best encapsulates what the DC characters represent. And being that we're so far from the time period, because that was what, late 50s, early 60s that was set in?
Yeah.
Korean War era, right? Or was it Vietnam? It was Korean.
No, Vietnam was in the 60s. It was a Korean War, and it ends with Kennedy's New Frontier speech.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
He's getting inaugurated.
people love period movies right now.
Mm-hmm.
You throw Clark and the Kents back into like 50s Americana in that kind of, granted, I know there's a lot of cultural awareness and stuff that is different modern age, but let's see that played out through this character. Let's see Jonathan and Martha.
They kind of did that with the first Wonder Woman movie. Like it was, that was great. You know?
Yeah. Like we can explore the past that maybe wasn't as ideal as we all thought and see like the ideal family. And you see Clark seeing how people are treating other people and like, well, that's not right. You know,
Well,
or you know, you can do that without rewriting history.
The original Superman, Action Comics #1 Superman, was literally trying to stop somebody on death row from getting executed and trying to get to the governor in time. And he was somebody that was beating up deadbeat landlords, and he was fighting for the people. And that's something that, you know, when you start getting into the 50s and 60s where his powers started escalating to the point of now he's juggling planets, yeah, it's going to make him a very hard character to identify with if you're going to go there with his power set. If you take it down to and that's something that, I mean, Batman is more relatable to people because he's a street-based crime fighter versus Superman who can fly off at a moment's notice to do this and that and the other thing. One thing that I thought was refreshing recently was I watched the Justice Society of America World War II animated movie that came out. And they touched on Superman, but it's like this is a different alternate reality Superman. But one thing that I got a kick out of with this, that Superman was not flying. He was leaping tall buildings in a single bound. And I was like, damn it, they went there. It's like Fleischer cartoons all over again. He's jumping from things to stop things. He's not just flying through them and, you know, and all that. And it's like, I'm not saying that you need to depower him, but I feel like there is a certain amount of like cultural awareness Superman should have, because that should be what's making people feel hopeful, not all these extraterrestrial problems. But if you have a guy who shows up, like All-Star Superman did that, he showed up with a girl who was about to jump off a building because her therapist was an hour, or like he was caught in traffic, he couldn't get there in time, and then she's about to jump, and you just see the S shield behind her in the next panel. He's like, he really is running late. He will get here. And he gives her a hug. And it's like, that is Superman for me. I mean, yes, he can do all these amazing things, but he's also meant to be somebody who reminds you he's not even human. He's not even our human. He's not an earthling, but he can bring out the humanity in all of us to be better to each other. And, you know, like for me at the end of the day, like that moment at the end of Superman 1 where he flies by the camera and smiles.
Yeah.
To this day, I get chills with that moment, because it's that whole idea of, yeah, I just did all that in the movie, but by the way, I'm your friend too. And that's how it should feel. And, you know, it's like Batman, yeah, he can be scary. I don't care. He can be that guy, that boogeyman in the night that criminals talk about with ghost stories and legends and stuff. But at the other end of the side, it better be Superman being that bright, hopeful person who makes you feel good that he's out there, you know?
Well, that's why I want to see, I don't remember where I heard this or who was talking about it. But I want to see a Batman movie where Batman is not the character we follow.
That would be cool.
You know, we're with Commissioner Gordon, or, you know, a young cop, or maybe it's Barbara Gordon or Dick, you know, people experiencing this world before they're Batwoman or Batgirl and Robin, you know.
So you want Andor Batman?
Well, I want no. I want Batman to be a major part of it, but like he's that mysterious shadow character that we're following through, because face it, as much as none of us can be Superman with the superpowers, most of us can never be Batman, because the physical stuff he's got to do, and we're not ridiculously wealthy billionaires that can just, you know, whatever. Like they're both unattainable or very out of reach things. One is completely unattainable. The other one is very unlikely unattainable. But like, I think that would be a cool way to set up the difference between Batman and Superman in this world. Is like, we don't have to see all the brooding and all this stuff. And then as they come together, you get to see Superman bring the hope out of Batman, when Batman can finally step out of the shadows, and like seeing him like step onto that stage. Imagine that. You've got Superman out in the front. People don't know who he is. And you've got a Batman movie where he's in the shadows. Everyone's afraid of him. And then you get to a Justice League movie and Superman or whoever's like introducing the team. And then you just see Batman step on stage like for the first time. And everybody's like, what?
Yeah. What
Like,
the hell is that?
Batman v Superman could have been, had you established Superman ahead of time as, you know, a character that doesn't kill, that doesn't do all this and that has that good heart. Batman v Superman could have been, you know, Batman going a little bit too extreme with criminals. You know, this is, you know, when they started that film, it looks like it's post Robin being killed by Joker. So, you know, maybe he's gotten a little bit more violent, this and that, and maybe Superman has to talk him down and bring him back to, you know, kind of good. But instead you know, have them fight each other over stupid shit for first couple hours, and then you throw in a really disgusting, stupid looking Doomsday that doesn't even make sense and has no business even being in that film, and have them fight them together. And then, oh, by the way, Wonder Woman's here too. For some reason, it was just dumb.
No, it only pays off if you've already set up a hopeful Superman, and if you set up Batman. Because yes, we just got done with Christopher Nolan, but that had no bearing on the Ben Affleck Batman. Which you talk Henry Cavill all the time, but I'm still disappointed that I never got to see the actual Ben Affleck Batman.
Yeah, but I will say that the Pattinson Batman, I love that movie. I've watched that movie 3 or 4 times. Like,
I still haven't watched it yet.
It's good.
But
it's good.
The thing about that one, I agree with you, Curtis. I love that. That was probably my favorite Batman movie to date because of the way it was handled. But that's a whole different universe. That's a whole different Earth than the one that Affleck's from. So it's like, it would like to have all these.
But I thought they did it right, though.
No, they did. I agree with you, and I think they did. That was so much more of a grounded Batman than anything Nolan did, in my opinion. I liked how bare bones and like almost Radio Shack the way that he was operating to make things happen based on how he was. But I actually like that idea a lot. And they kind of did it in Batman v Superman, where they had Clark at least trying to go and report about things, but they kept undermining that with the whole, why aren't you covering this sporting event and all this, and him doing it on his own. And it's like, it would have been like, I kind of dig that idea of Jesse's and having it like Clark and Lois being the characters that are bridging from the Superman movie, and or even Lois and Jimmy being those characters, and Lois doing the whole, whatever you do, you get the first photo of Batman, because nobody's ever seen this guy. We got to get the first photo of Batman. And then maybe like when something happens where Lois is in danger, Batman, and maybe Batman's involved in that, then Superman shows up, and it's the whole, he gets her and Jimmy out of there, and it's we're talking later, and then they build it that way. But you're seeing it from a reporter's perspective of, like they did it with Kim Basinger slightly in the first 89 Batman. They did a little bit with Clark and Batman v Superman, but having somebody following him and actually doing almost like not CSI, but like a crime, kind of a story, and Batman is the
I
subject.
do think the Batman kind of hit on some of that, because to me that movie felt like what it reminded me of was the movie Seven, like where it was very suspenseful, and like I'm on the edge of my seat and watching it. And like, to me, it could have been just a kind of a detective thriller on its own. If you had no Batman in that movie and it was just like some cop that was doing that, it could have been a detective thriller, but then it also has Batman to it. Absolutely. So it wasn't like over the top on all of the Batman stuff. I felt like you did get the Commissioner Gordon piece, and you got to, see more of the Gotham underbelly. And, there was a lot more to it than just, Batman beating up guys and that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So,
well, and they managed to make the Riddler into a character that when you get to the third act of that movie and you see how Riddler planned what he's planning, and I'm trying not to ruin this for Matt because I know he hasn't watched it, but just the idea of being a social media person and how he set all that up, and then it leads into that climactic ending of the movie. I was like, well done. Like that is something I was not seeing coming. And when they went there, I'm like, well, geez, that was great. Just like he lit he's the one that lit the gasoline, and boom, there's Gotham, and the damage and everything. So
Yeah.
Matt, you've been quiet for a while. You got anything?
No, I just agree with you all. It all ties back to, it's kind of perfect to finish with this after our earlier talk with the Masters movie, because DC did everything that we said we don't want Masters to do if they ever get a movie going. It's like, you're trying to do all this stuff so quickly, and you're trying to hit these emotional points, but it means nothing. Robin died. Who cares? We never knew this Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We don't even there, we could launch into a whole nother rabbit hole. But if you actually go and look at the timeline that they've set up in those movies, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Like, Superman emerges and everyone's shocked, but like Wonder Woman was already here 60 years ago, but then she disappeared for 70 years, except for that week that she reappeared in shopping malls.
It was the mall tour.
But then Batman was also operating the whole time, but we don't talk about him. It's a mess. It's an utter, if you actually stop and think about it all, it's a complete and utter mess. They want to take all us fanboys who are like, oh, Death of Superman. These guys loved Death of Superman when they were growing up. Yeah, because this was the culmination of decades of Superman stories.
Yeah.
And this was his final battle.
Exactly. And
that's why we cared.
Well, the other thing is that like Doomsday, when they did that Death of Superman, it wasn't one comic book. It was across several comic books, and you've got Justice League trying to stop Doomsday and all these, and it took Superman to his absolute limit and dying to stop him to save everybody else.
And how many months leading up to that did the comics just end with that panel or two with the Doomsday fist punching?
And then on top of that, you completely don't even do World Without a Hero or the Reign of the Supermen, and those I'm sorry, like that blew my mind completely, because I'm like, those are still stories that fans to this day want to go back to and read, because you didn't expect those to be stories in a Superman comic book, and all of a sudden, now we have 4 different versions of Superman, and all of a sudden, I was reading Superman religiously when those were going on, because I just couldn't get over this is what had happened. Like,
when I heard that they were killing off Superman, like, because the news came out of it before. It was like, you knew this was going to be a whole event. He was going to die, and then I thought that's it. Like, that's it, Superman's. And then they started that whole the Reign of Superman. This day, it's my favorite comic series is that whole Reign of Superman. So to skip over that completely and then just go straight to, the next movie is just back alive. Like, it's, like right away.
No consequences.
Their whole game plan so far has just been, hey, find something they like and let's do that. And it's like, no, it
crank it up to 11 and go straight to it. It doesn't work
that way.
And then their thing is, oh, they didn't like that. Let's fix this. Oh, they didn't like that. It's just constant knee jerk.
No, 1-6 shooter. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that in front of Jesse. This is another 2 hours here.
That's funny.
No, they did that, like the Snyder cut. We don't have to spend a lot of time talking about that, but they set up a really awesome moment between Lois and Martha in that movie. And then they immediately undercut it by showing, oh, that was Martian Manhunter. It's like, what was the point of that conversation?
Right.
It meant nothing, because Martha, now Lois is going to have this alternate memory of this conversation with Martha that Martha doesn't know, unless Martian Manhunter goes off and repeats the Lois side with her. Like, like it was cool to see Martian Manhunter in the movie, but like they, I think the Snyder cut of that movie, I'm not saying it's good. it did some interesting things. I liked the expanded stories for Flash and Cyborg. I loved Cyborg in the first movie. They definitely did a lot more with him in the Snyder cut, and I think that actor got a raw deal. But the expanding that whole nightmare world, and to the exposing the plot that like, oh, Batman doesn't save Lois, so Superman sides with Darkseid and takes over the world. I'm like, no. Absolutely not.
Right.
Shut me down. I no longer care one iota about the rest of this movie.
That was the King Kong syndrome with Superman in those movies. If you had Lois in any way, shape, or form, he would turn into a crazy person and want to kill. Like that was another case of, well, of course he can kill Zod, because then you can pull that over his head in the next one when you're Lex Luthor and flat out say, "I got your mommy." So then it's like, well, of course I got to kill Batman, because that's the only thing I know to do anytime something bad happens is I'm going to kill somebody else. It's like, what kind of Superman is this? And I mean, what gets me is that, like, the Snyder cut had me like, I love the Flash moments, and knowing now what we know about Ezra Miller, I can't like watch that for that reason. It's like,
I never liked Ezra as the Flash. I always thought that was horrible casting.
I agree with that, but I'm just saying the story I liked better with him doing the whole running so fast that he gets there, like he taps into the Speed Force.
Yeah.
But that whole thing was like, now I can't not see him as this person who's just gonna punch people out in airports or whatever. So it's like, all right, whatever.
Get why you didn't take the WB Flash and make like you've developed that character over years. People love it. Like he's a good actor. He plays a good Flash.
Absolutely.
You care about that character, and then it's like, okay, now we're gonna put Flash in a movie. And like when I first heard, I was like, oh great, he's gonna be in a movie now. And then it's like, no, it's totally separate. It's not even connected. It's different storylines. And I'm like, why would you do that? Like you've already got this guy that's established that we care about. Why not use him?
Even if you didn't want to connect the universes, you could still have him play Flash in this universe as well. And
a multiverse type thing.
Yeah, it'd bring a lot of goodwill over to it, and you wouldn't have to spend as much time on the Flash. You would get some of that built in, out of the way. But it's a mess. I guess I'm curious to see what James Gunn comes up with, but like, I guess at the end of the day, it can't get any worse, right?
Did you guys watch Black Adam?
No.
I saw it, and I remember thinking, well, that was a movie.
I'll probably watch it eventually, but
it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. But I will say, I mean, I don't think it's any surprise to anybody at this point, because there was the whole announcement that Henry Cavill's back as Superman, and then a few weeks later, now he's not. And that part of him at the end, when he comes out and he's got the little spit curl and stuff, and it looked to me like his suit was a little bit more classic blue rather than the dark gritty blue. And he walks out there and he's got this like smile on his face, and I'm like, that little 30 seconds or whatever Superman was the best 30 seconds of Superman that we got in all the films. And it's like, as soon as you see it, you already know, well, this is the last we're going to see him. So this kind of sucks. And I felt hopeful watching that, and then immediately was like, oh yeah, this is the last. So
if I remember right, didn't they do like a little bit of the John Williams score even when he's walking out of the shadows? You could hear like just a little bit. And I was like, well, they did it in the Justice League version, the Whedon cut at least. I'm like, I kind of like that, and I think he could work with it. But yeah, like I feel horrible.
But then he had like even the little Christopher Reeve curl and the brighter blue, and I'm like, why couldn't you just? This is what I wanted, and then you show me 30 seconds of it and whip it right out from under me.
You know what I miss? I miss going into a movie, despite being a kid and seeing like The Rocketeer or Batman Returns and getting all the magazines and all the different stuff. I miss knowing little about the movie going into it. I'm not anti social media, because obviously we do others, but like all this stuff where it's like, oh, The Rock got Henry Cavill back, he made an announcement, like I'm sick of all that. Like I to the point where like I hardly watch trailers anymore unless I'm at a movie theater and I can't walk away.
Yep.
Now I'll watch the Marvel's trailers or a Star Wars trailer when they hit, but I'll watch it once because like
Yeah.
I don't want to overplay it. I want to, it's to the point where I watch a trailer and then I see the second trailer. I'm like, oh, okay, well they're going to do this, this, and this. Like, oh, they surprised me because someone's wearing purple instead of green or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I don't know the technical difference between the teaser and the trailer. Like I don't know, but usually the first one they say is a teaser. I usually watch that and then that's it. I don't watch the other ones. But
teasers are usually short and give you very little.
Gotcha.
The first trailer will usually run about 2 to 2.5 minutes.
Gotcha.
And then, they need to, I just think, like, okay, I don't know, how many of you seen Uncharted?
Oh, I saw
I
it.
haven't watched it yet. No.
Yeah.
Okay. There was the second trailer that came out, which was shortly before the movie released, which I was like, oh, cool. I'm going to go see this movie. I'm in. I didn't need another trailer. And I've never played the games. I'm not that invested in that world. So I don't have that side of it. But then they put out the second, full trailer and they show one or two giant pirate ships being carried by a helicopter and people fighting. And I'm like, well, I guess that's the third act action sequence.
Yeah.
Cool. Now I can just wait. It's like the worst thing is when you have such an iconic shot in a trailer that you're waiting for in a movie. I don't know. I call it the what was it? The ransom, the car jump. In the Mel Gibson movie Ransom, where his kid gets taken, he's the rich guy. There's that shot in the trailer where he jumps and slides over the hood of a cab as he's running down the street in New York City. And it's in the final sequence, one of the final sequences of the movie, I think.
Yeah, just waiting for that moment to hit in the movie.
It's just and obviously you can't predict, but I hear them oh, that's a trailer shot. Oh, that's a trailer shot. Show me less.
Right.
Especially if it's a big franchise thing. Show me less. I don't want to know what the third act is going to look like unless you give it to me in the trailer in such a way that I'm not going to expect it coming.
No, I agree. The one that sticks out the worst in recent memory for me, and one of the last Marvel trailers I watched was Thor Ragnarok, and when they show the Hulk right in the trailer. And then you're watching the movie and they play it up this mysterious champion and all, and I'm like, it's the Hulk.
Yeah.
Right. We saw it already.
It's funny.
But if we hadn't seen the Hulk in the trailer, that moment would have been oh shit, it's the Hulk. And it's why are we talking about this mysterious champion? Call him the Hulk. We know it's him.
Yeah, and plus that shot they showed you in the trailer was him jumping up at the giant version of Surtur after he had gotten the crown and was giant. It's it's funny. No, don't smash or whatever, because don't show me all the jokes in a comedy. Show me a couple, but save the good laughs for because then I go into the movie. It's oh, that was the funniest thing, and it's 5 minutes into the movie. With the movie Funny People with Adam Sandler, where he's going to visit the doctor. And he makes the joke about, he's like, why do you always try to kill Bruce Willis in the movies? Because the doctor was German or whatever. And that was the funniest thing in that movie. And it wasn't a straight up comedy, but I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, this is a serious movie with some humor in it. Oh, I'm kind of depressed now.
Even with all that, though, Thor Ragnarok was still the best movie.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah. That's my favorite, hands down. I just felt like it was the right mix of heart and laughs and action and story. It felt like it hit on everything for me. So
I feel like I totally agree with you. I feel like movie theaters think people are stupid. Because I love this British comedy. It's called Pirate Radio. That's at least that's the American release of the movie. It's about these people in the 60s where rock and roll music is banned, or 70s. It's not supposed to be played. So these people live on boats and they broadcast rock and roll at night, So it's called Pirate Radio in America, which is okay, that makes sense. It fits the movie. And then I learned the original title in England was The Boat That Rocked. I'm like, that's a more fun title. They say Pirate Radio 6 times in the movie. That's so dumb. It's just why? Like, I mean, yes, to an extent, like Coke became Coke because and partnered with McDonald's because it was going to be faster to say Coke than Pepsi at the counter. So that was, it's a whole speed money making thing. Okay, fine. I know you're making movies to make money. Some people are doing because they want to make art, and the other people funding it can make money back. But like, we're not dumb. Like Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. No, it's the Philosopher's Stone. What? Well, philosophers don't do magic, so it's got to be a sorcerer. Like, but that's not what the artifact is. That'd be like calling, like the Holy Grail, like, the somewhat important measuring cup. Like, I don't know.
The carpenter's mug.
Tim the Toolman Taylor's thermos. Yeah, Thomas, show you more. I don't know what more you want to see. I'm getting like a Van Johnson vibe there. Yeah, I'm not taking the clothes off.
It's time for Jesse OnlyFans.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I don't want to meet that fan base.
Shoot in the shelf after hours.
I don't
know how much after hours we can get.
Did you say shaving the shelf?
That's a shooting.
Oh,
You're just drunk.
I'm picturing that scene in Dodgeball where Justin Long has to wash the guy's truck. Yeah, you get in there good, baby. You clean it nice and good.
Well, with that.
Yeah.
But before we close out, anything you guys are excited about, looking forward to in the year to come? Movies, shows, properties, toys, whatever.
I am looking forward to finally meeting you beautiful bastards in person. It's going to happen this year. And I guess I'll say hi to Ackerman too.
Are you coming to MesquiCon?
I'll be at MesquiCon.
I'll see you there.
Probably Tulip City too. They're both pretty close, easy little drive. So,
are you going to do PowerCon this year?
I doubt PowerCon. Just work time off and everything. But one way or another, I will make it to Legion's Con. So,
how many sisters do you have, and how many of them are not married yet?
2 and 0.
All right, cool. So you can't use that.
But it was my sister-in-law last time.
Yeah.
Nice.
Are they all married now?
They are all married now.
Okay,
yes.
So there we go. We don't have any excuses.
Sister-in-law.
I didn't know where that question was going, and I thought
I didn't know where it was going.
I thought in Jesse's mind, he's like, if there was a female douche out there somewhere, like
There's a shortage of perfect.
I did say I'd marry him, so I mean,
I like my apartment. I don't want this to change.
Yeah, that's true.
My sister-in-law set her wedding date for November 5th last year. So that's what ended up derailing Legion's Con.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So for me. Yep. He hasn't even announced the date yet, has he?
Not yet.
Probably this week.
Come on, Jeremy. I know you're watching. Announce it.
He did say it will be in November, but he hasn't announced what weekend yet.
I see him.
Sean, anything you're looking forward
to? I'm looking forward to Mondo Battle Cat. I'm looking forward to Into the Spider-Verse sequel because that movie was completely amazing the first time, and I really want to see what they do with that. And I'm curious as a Ninja Turtle guy with what they might do with this new one, but I'm not as excitable as I am toward the original, the live action 90 movie. But it's gonna be kind of fun to go, hey, there's Ninja Turtles on the movie screen again this year. Mm-hmm. So I mean that's pretty much it as far as I can remember. I think this year, like last year, is gonna be like there's hardly any reason for me to go to the movies except if my kids want to see something. So Mario Brothers and Spider-Verse are definitely high on the list of priorities to get out to the theater with them this
How about you, Curtis?
Witcher 3 is a big one for me. I don't know that I'm gonna want to watch after season 3, so I'm gonna have to enjoy season 3 while I can. Other than that, I can't think of anything really TV show or movie wise. Obviously, action figures is the stuff from Mondo, the stuff from Legions that'll be coming. I'm excited to see what things drop that we don't know about. So whether it's figure obscura or waves that fingers crossed, maybe like another deluxe Legion builder wave or reinforcements or something like that we're not waiting for, that just kind of pops up on us. I'm looking forward to those surprises that we get from Four Horsemen. So
G-Con this year.
Agreed.
I'm nervous.
For what?
G-Con, because if it is the way that people are talking, I might do my first all-in, and I will have to beg, steal, and borrow if it's going to be Noble Bear versus Sons of the Red Star, because those are both my favorites. Like Curtis is getting his right now. November could be my chance. Finally, this could be interesting.
Well, don't. What was it? Don't beg, steal or borrow. Like F, marry, kill your way into an all-in.
There you go. Just make sure you marry somebody with a lot of money, or one of the horsemen. That would work.
Well, my mind went to I guess I got to go to the horseman on that one. So,
yeah.
Oy, I'm scared of that.
I know I am most excited for. I'm trying not to get my hopes too high, even though I have enjoyed this character in their recent live action introduction. I'm really looking forward to the Ahsoka show.
Okay.
Because she is right there with Rogue as all-time favorite, franchise characters. I'm really excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp, the Quantumania. That I did watch that trailer. I won't spoil it if anybody hasn't, but
no, I haven't.
I feel like Marvel movies. It's no secret I was not a huge fan of Multiverse of Madness or Love and Thunder. I feel like this movie and Wakanda Forever are steering it back into the kind of tone and things I enjoy about those movies. But I'm excited for those. I'm sure there's other stuff I'm looking forward to. Shazam 2, I'm excited because I really like Zachary Levi, but my investment level on DC stuff at this point is just kind of pizza's pizza. It's really hard to make bad pizza unless you get it at like the Papa John's from Six Flags in Illinois. Or wherever that was I had it.
Nice.
And of course, obviously, more of this, more Mythic Legions. Probably not getting out to any shows anytime soon, but hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll make it to PowerCon and Legions Con.
One quick question, real quick. I'm not sure if you guys know. At one point, because I know that obviously they brought back the actor that played Daredevil, and he was in the She-Hulk series. And then I heard that they were bringing back John Bernthal as Punisher in some form or fashion. But I haven't heard anything else. Have you guys heard anything else on that? On like what that it is, if it's going to be a standalone show, or is he going to be part of something? Or have you guys heard anything on that?
Was that even a real announcement, or was it just like speculation?
I thought that I heard that there was an announcement that he was going to be reprising that character, but I don't know in what form. Whether it's going to be a show, or whether it's going to be like Daredevil, where he kind of starts off in somebody else's show and then branches off. I don't know.
I feel like I read something about it, but I feel like it might have been that he's in talks with Marvel about coming back. They didn't really have like a specific, he's doing this next or whatever, but
gotcha.
Like it's kind of cool that they're not at least completely wiping the board clear of what they did there, because he definitely was a fan favorite in that character. So he works well.
I just looked it up.
As far as I'm concerned.
It looks like Rosario Dawson said that she heard that he was coming back, and then she further elaborated that she heard that from fans. So,
okay.
I know there was.
It looks like it's all speculation.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I think most of the casts from the Netflix shows are great, and I feel like that's an easy way to reestablish them without, having for people who have followed them. And as playing those characters, they already know the personality, so they can slide right in. So I'm not a huge Punisher fan, but I loved the way Bernthal played that role. Like,
Daredevil season 2.
That's what I'm in right now.
Great.
I'm rewatching that, and then I was gonna watch the Punisher series itself. But yeah, that
Punisher
season 2 is that's so good.
Punisher season 2, I think, was probably the most focused Netflix show of the Marvel stuff. I felt like there were very few episodes where like, oh, we're going to spend an hour getting to know this like lawyer from the suburbs that is key to this one thing before we kill him or whatever. Right. It really seemed like it focused on him and what the story was, and I really appreciate it. Again, I don't have anything against Punisher. I think he's really tricky character to do well without just glorifying the violence, and I think they really did a good job but that's a whole different show.
Yeah, I didn't mean to get us keep us here another hour. I just didn't know if you guys had heard anything about that. So
I'll talk about that Daredevil hallway fight all day long if you want. That was freaking amazing in season 1.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. We just need to establish a hallway fight for He-Man.
There you go.
And then build a story around that, and we're gold.
Yeah. Because season 2 has that where Punisher is fighting them in the they open up all the prison cells, and guys come out, and so it's that same kind of hallway thing, but it's in the prison, and anytime they do the hallway one or the stairwell,
Darth Vader, Rogue One, Luke Skywalker, Mando, you get your hero in a hallway or villain.
That's it.
Or a CrossFit gym. Or whatever.
We just need to find out if Castle Grayskull has hallways. If Castle Grayskull have hallways, we're dead. That's it.
Oh, heck yeah.
Movie written.
Yeah. There's got to be at least one hallway.
Oh, there's a ton of hallways. Oh, yeah, for sure.
or they're in the Royal Palace. There you go, right there.
Oh,
right on the home turf.
Yeah.
I love it.
Guys, it's been a lot of fun.
It has been a lot of fun.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think this is the longest episode of Shooting the Shelf.
Woo! We may not be the best, but we go the longest.
We are those guys. When we're on, we just keep talking. That's the problem. That's why we don't get invited out much.
We may not hit the bottom, but we're going to bang the hell out of the sides.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you've definitely hit bottom.
Yeah, it's like you went meteor rise
or bottom down. That's a different expression.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for joining us tonight. Shawn and Matt, anything you want to plug for Legends of Grayskull?
Yes, Legends of Grayskull is out there. Check it out.
You just did your best of
smash the buttons.
22, right?
Yep, best of 22 just came out. We've got 97 episodes in the can, so we're getting closer to regularly releasing episodes again. The holidays are always kind of a challenge, but
really,
they should be. Yeah.
Is it what's the other one that you guys do? The OffWorld? Is that what it's called?
That's
There's
any of those planned?
There's some stuff coming.
Cool.
So that's all I'll say here. Look for more of that probably in the coming months here. But
is this the stuff I know, or is there something else?
No, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, just feel free to subscribe. We're almost to 1,000, so that's really cool.
Is that when you get the little plaques?
942. Yeah, they'll give us a little token and stuff. Plaques. So, but yeah, if you guys could follow that wherever you listen to podcasts, we do release an audio version too, like all good podcast and YouTube shows should do.
I'm not a podcast. This is
and YouTube shows. I said and YouTube shows.
Not every YouTube show does an audio stream,
but they should. You don't listen to me at all when I talk. Yes, because that's how I listen.
Then you wouldn't be able to see this.
I listen to them while I'm at work. I don't always have to watch it.
And smash that like button. Subscribe.
Exactly.
Ring that bell. Yeah. Do all that stuff down there.
Ding, 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 ding.
All of it.
Smash it, smash it.
Sorry, I'm going to my Lex Luthor ring that bell. Every time someone says that, I just think of him from the end of that movie, and I don't like it. I don't like that's what I think of.
Good times.
Well, thank you all for joining us. Shawn, Matt, it has been a pleasure. I'm sure we'll have you back on
Likewise.
again at some point. Do another Mad
Thanks
Lib.
for having us. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Foreskin that goes on forever.
Yeah. Eternal foreskin of the spotless mind, of the dirty mind.
You probably just gotta want to click that button now, Jesse. This should go another hour.
I just made him honk again. That's the second time in 2 days that I've gotten him to honk on the internet.
Oh. All right. Sorry for anyone whose speakers just, burst out because of my honk. I think that's a show. All right. Tomorrow night, Trevor and the gang, I think, are back for their Legions Lounge. I think they were asking people to comment to Trevor, 1-6 shooter.
Oh, you know what? Trevor was on that show with Mr. Allen when we went live, and then he popped into ours.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he's here
we
now.
outlasted Mr. Allen. There you go.
Foreskin that goes on forever.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's gonna stick around, isn't it?
That's your
Yep.
tagline.
When we
now.
show up, it'll be the thing. Yeah.
Hey, but maybe you won't hear about Mayo now. So
Man, you put those two things in the same context, and now I want to go throw up.
He missed it. He was too busy talking. I slipped it in there and it didn't work.
oh,
That's what she said.
What and where?
hey.
Are we still live? Because
Yeah. PG-13 out the window.
Yeah, you can just edit this out of the show.
Okay.
Colonel Foreskin.
You sang the Mythic Legion song 8 times.
That seems like an obscene amount of Mythic Legion song singing.
I mean,
Well, if you got your legions and you got your
I'll be
faction.
listening to that show tomorrow at work, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, Legion's Lounge tomorrow. I think Legion's Lair is back this week. Mythic Minute in the Cabal Thursday night at 9. Talking about surprise announcement: skeletons this week.
Ooh. Nice.
Is the Races of Mythos this week. I'm not announcing my guest for next week because I'm waiting for confirmation. Curtis will be.
Legion's Lair Tuesday as well this week.
I said that.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Sorry.
Yep, Legion's Lair's back with their 1 year ish.
Yes.
And,
Yes, ish.
You got Legion's Lounge, right?
Legion's Lounge tomorrow.
Lounge is all the
Legion's Lair
Legion shows,
Tuesday.
really, except for Legion's
Legion's
Cast.
Lair,
They don't.
did you
They don't
say?
do Legion's Cast.
Mythic Conversations Wednesday night. Four-ish a horse. Of course. Oh,
Yes.
you know what I'm trying to say.
Wilbur.
4-ish horsemen o'clock.
Mhm.
And all the other stuff. So yeah, and thank you everybody. Check out Oz's Legions class and all that goodness. Legends of Grayskull Podcast, wherever you listen to ear noises. And
For all those that chose us over Mr. Allen tonight, we are truly sorry.
Never apologize. It shows a weakness.
I'm sure that was a great show, and I look forward to checking that out. So
Absolutely.
yes, Shawn and Matt, I'm gonna bump you guys out. Thanks for joining us. So long, the Duch. So long, Skvarna. Curtis, anything you want to add before we log off?
Don't tell them this, but I like those guys.
Okay.
Yeah, don't let them know.
All right. I won't.
All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Curtis. It was fun, as always. And what's on your shelf? See you next time.
See you, everybody.